of men. What are some of the signs of women
Like
peacock?
imagine everybody just spreading when they told my real dad.
It's gonna be my ears. You know what I'm saying?
Physical
Ears,
strength.
like, man,
Peace, everyone. Welcome to the Full Notice Podcast. My name is Ron Mari. You guys already know. And today, my best friend's here once again. And we have a special ad announcement. So check this out.
Everybody come on down to Scott's Pillow Emporium. We got big pillows, small pillows, comfortable pillows, hard pillows. We got all the pillows you want, all different shaped pillows. We got everything. Scott's Pillow Emporium,
What's an emporium?
the kingdom of comfort.
Yo, Scott, bro. Yo, it's always a pleasure to have you,
Yo,
man.
likewise, man. Yo,
Yo.
I just thought that, like, because, I'm, like, sitting here. I got, like, one pillow, and then, like, Dukes comes over here and starts putting more pillows everywhere. So, like,
You look real comfortable, my guy. Do
dude,
you
I'm, like, really comfortable.
I have 3 extra
I
pillows.
mean, hopefully I'll be acquiring all the pillows on set.
Do you want an extra pillow for your arms?
I could use a little bit more lateral support.
Yo, here's a pillow, dude. Got that? There you go. How's that?
Oh, man, that's nice.
Yeah. All right, well, let me see how I want. I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem like a bad idea. Actually.
No, man, you're making me too strong with this. There's too much comfort.
Yeah, I'm chilling, man. Oh shit. All right, here we go. All right, man. Whatever, man. What's
Yeah,
up,
man.
man? How was your day today, Scotty?
Hey, man, my day was great.
Listen, man. We've been talking about pretty much stoicism. Just
Yeah.
to get right into it, we spoke about stoicism today. You were kind of breaking things down for me. Earlier on, we had a conversation about things that you were kind of researching and studying. So just for the audience today, we'll probably be touching on a few topics. One of them being naturopathic medicine.
Naturopathic medicine,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's very fascinating. I think most people would find that fascinating. There's a lot of things that the majority of people won't ever really hear unless someone that went out there and did the actual work to find the research, because it is kind of like off the cusp, like off the wall
Yeah.
information, very interesting things that go against, like, I guess, modern medicine.
And, it's really wild that when you start doing research for yourself, and, when you read from a bunch of different things, you can start reading between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you try and, like, look this stuff up or Google it, it just doesn't come up.
Right.
And then you start to realize that, there are things that are not out there in the mainstream.
Yeah, the reason why I think that is because you have to connect dots.
Yeah.
It's a bridge is from point A to point B, but to get to that, you have to know that point B is over there.
Yep.
And most people don't know that point B is in that direction, so they kind of don't find a way to. It's like you're lost. You have no compass.
Yep.
So for someone who has had the privilege to have a compass in their life and find the meanings to their, discoveries or to what they're looking for, and in your case, health being one of those things, I think is fascinating and like a privilege. Not everyone gets the ability or has the ability to learn things that may prolong their life. So I'm looking to hear more about that. And also share it, because I know a few things that I think will add to the conversation,
Most definitely.
So a lot of people were in the comment section talking about relationships. So that's an interesting topic that you touched on that I find a lot of people are actually drawn to. They kind of want to hear more about some of the things. I want to hear more about some of the things that we spoke about with regards to relationships, especially the mystery method and what that is, So yeah, man, let's get right to the conversation, and I'm going to start off with this first question. What is the nature of consciousness?
Whoa, the nature of consciousness.
Yeah, that's a heavy question,
So,
bro. You
like,
wasn't
what
ready
it-
for that?
So, like, what is, like, the natural aspect of consciousness?
I don't know, bro.
Well, I would say,
what is
the nature?
of
It's
consciousness?
all that is
Okay.
to experience itself.
All right. Here
Because if you're an infinite being and you know everything, right? So it's like, to be God, God would have to know what it's like to be me and what it's like to be you. But then when you're at that point, you already know everything. It's not fun anymore. So what do? You put yourself into infinite little fractal bodies and you forget about it. And you go through things. It's like playing a video game.
Okay, so do you think that we are consciousness manifest? Are we a higher dimensional being coming down dimensions to experience reality? Do you think that this is a simulation where we may have a destiny, a pre-planned program with a set of rules that we abide by? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think everybody is from a higher plane. I think some people are, and you can tell by the way you feel around them. You just feel really good around some people, and other people will just bring you down.
What about in simulation theory? Do you think that has any role?
In a simulation theory?
If based on simulation theory, they say, this is all computer generated or whatever. We're living in a matrix. A matrix is, for those that don't know, like I would say that, I don't know if it's engineers or in math. I know for sure in math, they have, and this is actually really important for people who don't know, that there is such thing as a dot matrix. And when you look at televisions, for example, you're looking at what is known as a dot matrix, where you have a mirror and lasers, and it creates fractals that pulsate. So light that's pulsating that can alter your consciousness based on the frequency of light. So how rapid the pulsation happens, like how fast, if we had to put it into, for you, a visual, how quickly you can turn something on and off, on and off, on and off, like how fast that happens, that dot matrix penetrates your consciousness and it programs you. I mean, literally they call it a channel and a program for a reason. So, but not to get into that like too crazy, I just kind of had more of a, the question for you is, what do you think about having a pre-planned destiny or a program and having like a destiny and being inside of a matrix?
I don't think it's pre-planned. I think you create it. I think everybody has a path, but I don't think it's like pre-planned. Like, I don't think it's like, I'm going to be here at this exact moment. I think you give certain people the tools, and just like with chemicals, when there's a reaction, that's what's going to happen, but on like a social level,
Too many moving variables.
There's so many different variables, but then again, at the same time, I also like even would question that, because I've been in certain, all right, so once so me and Justin, right, a few years back, right, we're hanging out in Edgewater, and we're sitting at the light, right, all the cars are coming past, and Justin's like, yo, if you could have any car like in the world, what would be the car you would choose? I was like, a black 911 turbo. And as soon as I said that, a black Porsche went whoom. And so it's things like that make me like wonder, it's like, am I just putting it out there and it comes in there, or the fact that was that already out there driving, and then he had said something based on the frequency of that, which then would cause me to give that answer.
Do you think it could be probability or chance that might have happened, or luck? Some people can associate chance with luck.
It could be, but then when you start talking about synchronicities, and like the more that you're on point with something in your own life, the more and more things start lining up.
Would you think mathematicians, there are people who literally, go crazy.
Yeah.
Like they say that there's a thin line between being a genius and being like batshit crazy.
Oh, definitely.
Because of, are we in a simulation? Do the numbers add up? Like I know there's a guy on Twitter, Gary the Numbers guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with him.
If it's the same guy, I think, is that the guy that always talks about like birthdays and everything? He's like, oh, you're born on the 13th. That means that you're like the number of like, you're a social guy and you're gonna be making money and this and that. And this is like the year of the dragon. And is that the guy you're talking about?
Yeah, this guy takes like any situation and he breaks it down into numbers, and like it's the 9/11 guy who 9/11 and the 9 and then the 11 is the Twin Towers, and like they kind of go into this next level analysis of whatever. So I thought maybe you knew about whatever, Gary the numbers guy. But okay, so the nature of consciousness, you got that. All right, here's another question. This is gonna be a good question. How do you define true happiness?
Yo, true happiness?
True happiness.
Man, I think that true happiness is I think everybody knows deep down inside what they want and what they have to do. Because at your core, we're all drawn to certain things. And I think true happiness is living more in alignment with that.
So, okay, your limbic system. We are slaves to our
What's that, like desires and
well, to your body. You're a slave to your needs. Your body, your physical body definitely does have needs. As much as, I mean, some people are breatharians, you know, how they're receiving their H2O. If they're pulling it out of the air, so be it.
So what are we talking about? Like the basics, like food and water? We're talking about like sex and like human
survival,
interaction and
everything,
stuff like that.
You know, everything is regulated through processes of your body. Like, you know, your body tells you what you want, what you need when you're hungry, when you're not, when you got to go use the bathroom, so forth and so on. So do you think that we're slaves to our bodies? And if so, can people truly be, could spirits, could souls be happy, true happiness within the body? Or should we attain a level of enlightenment, let's say like a Buddha level, where we meditate and, you know, astral project this true happiness maybe outside of the physical form?
Well, I think there's a thin line there, because there are people that have done extraordinary things. They're like, you know, you read all these ancient stories about people that just gave up, or not gave up, just let go of attachment. You have these monks that like fasted for months or whatever. There's like this one guy in India, he's only been eating like a grain of rice a year, and he's been surviving. You know, then there's like some other guy I was reading about, he's been holding up his right arm for like 40 years or something. You know the guy I'm talking about?
I heard of that, man. I seen pictures of his arm. It's atrophied.
Yeah.
And it's really messed up. I don't know if that was the right call.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, that dude really, I mean, why are you doing that, my guy? Your body's telling you not to do that.
But bro, people do extraordinary things, and I've been thinking about like what really drives people to do stuff like that, and I think it's the why behind it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. When I think about people doing extraordinary things, I think of mothers. You know, I think of, there's a, like, for example, for me, I think of the sacrifices my mom made in her life and the path that she took, and in making sure that my observation of her was like pristine, you know, pure. For me, extraordinary things are acts that happen rarely, I think, but are very capable. You know, like a lot of people think extraordinary is like, there was a woman who fell off of a plane and survived. I mean, how do you, that's extraordinary. That's extremely, like, what are the odds? However, as extraordinary as that is, I don't think it's more extraordinary or less extraordinary than a mom raising a child, single mom raising a child to be a good man that's actually contributing to society, so forth and so on, who gave him like a happy life, or her a happy, you know what I'm saying? Like, being able to produce a good being, a good life for somebody else, I think that's like something I would find extraordinary. What about you?
Well, yeah, I think like when people think about like crazy, extraordinary things, like that is another, bro, just by being cool to somebody when they're at a young age, and that can have such an influence on that person growing up, you know? If like you see like how certain people are treated when they're younger, if they're treated good or bad, that can shape whether they're going to be turned into like a dictator or a serial killer, or like somebody that's just a cool person. You know what I mean?
Do you think Kim Jong-un, whatever, you know the Chinese,
the guy from South Korea?
Yeah, the North Korean guy.
North Korea, that's right.
Do you think that guy had a good childhood?
Man, it's rough to say, because I don't really know the guy. I just hear things about him.
Right. That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a very wise answer.
I will say this, though. I think even people who are quote unquote like bad people, I think in the presence of good spirits can alter that person. because everybody wants to be on a high level.
I'm just smiling because I'm thinking like, if King Jong Un was here, would he be a good vibe?
Yo, I think he would.
You know what I'm saying? Like, would we enjoy having a conversation with a guy who has access to nuclear weapons and da 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 da, and you know, dictator and his whatever his regime? You know, who knows? Like, where's his mind? You know, like I would be interested to explore the mind of someone whose life is completely so different than perhaps the regular mundane life of everyone else compared to his.
Well, I think, man, the highest, like people talk about like money and status and all this stuff, where the highest level of status you can have is the way you make someone else feel.
How do you? I mean, and I say this guy because I'm, his life is probably. I really never put any thought to how he lives, right? So it's like a curiosity. I wonder if he gets pleasure out of making others happy. Would somebody with that level of control, would their priority be to make people happy, or is their life like completely like, I just want to make myself more powerful?
I think it depends on the people in question. Like if there's actually good people, just like, trying to make it, trying to do the best, like morally sound people, I would think that you would try and, making those people happy would be better for you. But then again, you got people out there killing each other and just doing all this immoral stuff and stuff that they know is bad and just like really evil stuff. It's hard to look at a group of people like that and say, I want to make I want to do good things for these people.
Would you be able to explain concept of self-awareness? Like,
what do you mean by that?
Like your concept of self-awareness and, for example, I'll use myself as an example. When I was in middle school, I think in middle school, one of the first things that kind of made me like, wait, I got to kind of focus on how I am, was when I started growing underarm hair. And I remember I had a friend, Chris John. I'm not sure. I think perhaps you've met him, maybe you haven't. And he already had his little bushy, underarms.
Yeah.
And he was like cool. Like I was like, oh, Chris John, you got like, you're a man, blah blah blah. Like we would, that was cool. And I remember when my underarm hair started growing in, and I started like, yo, Chris John, check this out, bro. Like I'm starting to get some too. Like I'm a man too. And I remember just kind of my mom pulling me aside and saying, hey, now you gotta start wearing deodorant, da da da. Like she kind of introduced me to all those things. And I was like, I gotta be now I gotta make sure I don't smell around people. This is new.
So essentially, are you talking about like an intelligence associated with self?
Yeah.
I don't think.
I guess a self-reflection at all times.
I don't think everybody has it, but I do think it's one of the forms of intelligence. It's just being so aware of yourself in regards of like, it's okay. So it's like I'm talking to you now, and I'm paying attention to the way I'm talking to you, my tone, everything, the way that I'm saying. And like, you also have like micro expressions. So I can know if I said something, maybe I said something, just for example, maybe I said something that was cringe and I could read it on your face. Or if I,
this is my like cringe face. Like, oh, you said that? Like,
just like, like being able to read these micro things. Cause a lot of times, like I'll realize when I go out there and I'm talking to certain people, it's like, certain people, like there's people out there that won't get a hint when like, you're talking with them when you're like, all right, I got to get going. They just won't understand it. Right. And that's like one small facet of a bigger thing where I'm like, do they really not know or do they just not care? And they probably just don't know. And like I look at like a lot of people, and I really do think it's like an intelligence of self.
Yeah,
and I don't think everybody has that.
You have to be self-reflective enough to see like, okay, he's trying to walk away. Like maybe I should just end the conversation.
And I think if the more intelligent you are with yourself is probably the more intelligent you are with others. Because if, to know thyself is to know somebody else, because we're pretty much like the same blueprint.
Do you think that this would be a good experiment to run actually? Are women more self-aware with that regard, in social settings than men are? I mean, because they say women have a more social acuity than men do,
because they have they're involved more they're involved more with that because ever since like what, when a girl's like 13, 14, when she starts going through puberty, she's getting attention from everybody. And she could sense the difference in attention from when before she was in there. So she could sense when a dude's like bullshitting her, like when a guy's just annoying her, you know, and since they're so skilled in it, they have more training in it versus dudes that maybe approach girls like, I don't know, how often do you think like the average guy like approaches a girl? Once a month, if that?
The average guy approaches like from the guy's perspective, like how many times does a guy say, "Oh, I'm gonna go up to this girl and talk"?
No, I mean like you know how like a girl could be out wherever and like since a certain age she's always getting hit on, whereas a guy, how often does he go out and actually learn from a female, from the interaction that they're having, like whether he gets rejected or not, take away from that, and then he could recalibrate next time. Whereas females are constantly calibrating everything.
Well, I think now, you know, when we were growing up, I think that was more prevalent. Now I think what happens is guys are like copy and paste. They're like, oh, let me copy and paste this message and see if it works with this girl, and let me mass paste this message to like 10 girls to see if any of these hit. And then I guess from there they'll see and make their judgments and assessments. Now I don't think people have that genuine connection like back then.
Yeah.
I think now it's more, you know, reading through texts. Emojis kind of help you express how you may be feeling. However, how annoying is it to speak to someone who's always at the end of their sentence, it's laugh out loud.
Yeah.
LOL. Like they're saying something LOL.
It's like, yo, it's like I'm funny, but I know I'm not that funny, where you're laughing out loud.
And in real life, they're not even laughing.
No.
They're not smiling. It's being fake through the phone.
So they're lying. They're making me think I'm a hilarious guy.
And you're actually not funny.
And I'm actually not.
Yeah, they're literally at work like miserable, and they're like laugh out loud. You know.
And I'm like, laugh out loud. You work in a library. You're laughing out loud all day.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
You know what's up with that?
And this is what I'm trying to say. You know, it's like deceptive. You know, they've turned, and when I say they, I don't know who they is. I'm just saying it is a deceptive.
You know what I think it is, man? Because I think everybody gets their blueprint through interactions with women from their parents and from TV. And that is all wrong. Because there's not a lot of parents where like you look at them, you're like, wow, these two are like the power couple.
What is that, a power couple? What would that even look like?
Well, I mean, like, well, in the sense that they say like a power couple, like, I guess like all the masculine traits and feminine traits, and they come together and like, oh, he's a business owner and she's like, I would say like the way I would define it is not like in a commercial way like everybody else does. I would just like, you have a man that's very, very masculine, and he is what a man is, and you have a woman that's very, very feminine. She's what a female is, and all their traits are that too, and they complement each other perfectly.
Not to get controversial, what is a woman?
Yo, what is a woman? Well, I mean, nowadays, you could just say you're a woman and you're a woman.
Yo, that's crazy, B. All right, look. I'm not even trying to get into that because you know how you know.
But I mean, hey, if we're going to go down to like a minor level, you know, everything, there's a law that says that it's a law of gender. Literally, everything has gender.
Yeah.
Everything is either masculine or feminine, even shapes.
Well, okay. So let's dive into that. Sex and gender are two different things. So when we say gender, are we speaking of sex in regards to...
So wait, so what is gender? Is that the mental construct?
So for example, this mic is a masculine, but it's not a male.
Okay.
It's a masculine thing, but it's not a male. So that's an example of what you just said. Everything does have a gender. There is a duality to all things. So in that aspect, one of the laws of nature is that gender is a thing. Masculine and feminine is a principle.
Yo, you know it's kind of wild, man, because like, you know, I'm into cars and everything, and when you have like corners and hard edges, that's considered like a masculine shape, you know. But something rounded and like circular or like spherical is like a feminine shape.
Yeah.
So like when I'm looking at cars, I'm like, a lot of these cars are very like female in design because everything is sleek now. Yeah. It's not like back in the 80s where everything was just like all square and hard body.
Well, even when you go into a gas station, the pump is it's it's like a phallus is
Yeah.
going into the car.
Yep.
A lot of the car names are feminine, just like a lot of ship names.
Yo, so by us going to cars, we're the phallic to the car.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about it, some cars have that stick though in the middle. It's kind of weird there.
Yeah. So what does that mean? Like if I'm shipping,
I don't want to get controversial here, buddy, but yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah.
it's like you drive a manual. No, I'm not gay. I'm driving.
Yeah. All right. So here's another question that I had with regards to the universe. I really enjoy having conversations with you about like life, enlightenment,
Yeah, man,
universe, things
likewise.
like that. So here's a question that I thought was interesting. How do you view the balance between fate and free will?
Fate and free will.
Fate and free will.
Well, I would say a lot of things are governed by laws. Some laws you just
Mm.
can't break them. You know what I mean?
Do you think we have free will, or are we more?
I think wasn't that like what the whole Matrix movies were about?
Well, the Matrix gets deep because it's like,
Because eventually that's the what is it called? That's like the conundrum that it comes down to.
are you gonna take the red pill or are you gonna take the blue
Well, no,
pill?
remember when he meets the architect and he's like, "You've done this 6 times already, and it always ends up the same." He's like, "You're just an anomaly." But then what the computers didn't realize is love. They didn't factor love into it because it's only a human thing. It's not a machine thing.
Mm-hmm.
So using that with because he's like, "Why do you keep?" Or no, remember the time when he's fighting the agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Why do you keep persisting?" He's like, "Because I choose to."
That's love.
No, that's the parallel I'm trying to draw. Like there's choice and then there's love. Those are those two parallels
Right. Got you.
that go in there.
Yeah. It's like it's not part of the program.
It's not part of the program.
Yeah, it's not part of the program. It's like if we were in a program, would free will be the parallel that we've crossed, where we have this right to do whatever we want, even though we may be in a simulation, who knows? And that in itself is like the red pill, blue pill.
That's actually pretty wild because all the Matrix movies are like that.
Yeah, it's like we don't really know. It's like that's the line.
There's one point in the movie where they say that the 1.0 version of the Matrix was like a perfect world, but they said it was so perfect that people didn't believe it.
Oh.
And then when they rebooted it, right? So when they rebooted it in the movie, you know how like they have like the ghost characters, or like you see like a double image of the black cat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all they're pretty much saying like werewolves, vampires, all this stuff are remnants left over from
The first
one, because they had all these wild concepts in the first one, and it was like a perfect world for everybody. So then all these things are left over. So if you say the same thing with that, I mean, who knows? Maybe there are some people that can bend the laws of the way things work. But I would also imagine if there are people out there like that where they have absolute free will over things. I think if there are people out there like that, they got to be emitting some sort of frequency from themselves because everybody has a frequency.
Maybe they don't. Maybe they're just,
or maybe they
can
don't
control it or whatever.
So, but either way, you would assume that if we have all this technology with like cell phones, and right now we have millions of cell phone calls coming through here. The radio waves are in here.
They that. Speaking of like technology, they just came out with this video of a UFO that came from Iraq or Afghanistan or something, and it was just like a UFO that looked like a jellyfish. Did you guys hear about this?
Yeah, I saw that.
No, there's like this.
But you know what? I don't know what to believe anymore, man. Like if I didn't see it with my own eyes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I'd be like, nah, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I think it exists because of my personal experience with it. However, I wonder if there is more knowledge, there's more data, information about it that we're not being told. Like for whatever reason, I have a feeling that these beings are going into like water and maybe refueling, and then shooting up for whatever reason, or I don't know. I can't say what is going on, but
I mean, however, I will say this, which draws to a parallel with that. If you're looking at something vast, deep, and just completely unexplored, I would pretty much say like the ocean is like space.
Yeah.
bro, you can get a ship in space that's like half a mile long and have so much room to maneuver in there, and it has all this water to float around in. It's like if you're out in space, like what are you pushing off against? If it's a vacuum out there, how is it what is it sitting in to make it propel itself?
Yeah.
If there's nothing out there, if it's just nothingness, you know?
That's the thing. It may be different elements that we are not aware of at the moment. You know, there may be elements that create, just how there's magnets, and you know, that's kind of like, oh, what the heck? There may be like a rock out there that you point it in a direction, and for whatever reason it just kind of pulls you towards that direction. And you know, I don't know, I'm just assuming that might be like a technology that we don't have access to, not because we're not intelligent enough to forge it. Maybe one day we will, but maybe we just literally don't have the element that it takes to create the rock or the whatever.
And you know what's wild about it? Like we were saying at the beginning of the discussion, where when you really start digging into things, you start connecting point A with point B and this and that. I think you would have to be somebody very, very interested and drawn to that subject, and you would probably run into things and understand how that works, where it is, and other people who have done it and who have seen it.
That's most likely the case. In order for you to figure it out and know about it, like you got to be drawn to a degree. All right. How significant is time for you?
For me?
Yeah, time.
What do you mean, how significant? How so?
Like, how much value do you place on time?
A lot of value.
Probably never thought about that question, huh?
I mean, I was thinking about time the other day.
Oh, word.
How it moves fast.
That's something you think about. You're just sitting there. You're like, I wonder what time's going.
Dude, sometimes I go really, really deep, and then I just hit a point where I'm like, I'll break it down to like, okay, some things are and some things just aren't. And then I'll get into the thing about like, you know, like life and death. Like, like, you know, we live and then we die and this and that. But I'm like, oh, what about God? God always was. How was that? And I'm like, okay, I can't comprehend that because I'm a finite being and he's infinite. And I'm like, you know what? Just forget about it. Let me just get back to like, you know, working on the car, going for a drive, or, you know, studying this.
Yeah.
Because like, I feel like there's a point where you can just get so deep into stuff. Where you get so deep into it, it doesn't make sense on a certain level.
This is stressing.
You're like, how? You're like, but how? It doesn't make any sense.
That's what I think women don't like about men.
Yeah.
Is that you could sit there and just think about Rome, and you're just like, I wonder what, you know, how did the Romans and this, that, and like your mind can just go.
Yeah.
And it's just, for me, sometimes I just want to sit there and think about nothing.
You know what I think, bro? I think a lot of these things are
Right?
solved.
Don't you guys just feel like sometimes it's just like you just want to not think about nothing?
And this is the key that I'm going to lay on about that. What I think thinking is the wrong thing to do.
Just being?
Because
That's profound.
it sounds funny, but if I can elaborate,
God, please do.
right?
Yeah.
So when you're thinking thoughts, you're accessing the mind.
Yeah.
However, as I'm speaking right now, I'm observing myself speak. I could think of a red fire truck right now. I'm observing it.
Mm-hmm.
That observer is outside of the mind viewing it. That's the one, the real you, the spirit that inhabits the body. The viewer of the thoughts, that's who you have to be in just your ultimate awareness.
Okay.
And then I think you'll start getting all the answers that you're seeking.
Right. So with being the observer, who is the observer? How would you know that you're observing? If you're, how that would be the question. How would you know that you're observing?
Because you can see it.
Then that means that you're observing yourself observing?
I can't observe myself as the observer. I could see my hands, so I know I'm not my body. I could see my thoughts, so I know I'm not my thoughts. But that which sees the thoughts, I cannot see that.
Then how
If that makes sense.
How could you not know if it's there?
Because that's the furthest point back I can go in the observation.
So when you close your eyes, the deepest thought that you can go to is
just the observer.
just being.
You know what it is, man? It's like, you ever get like really, really mad and you can just observe yourself as you're just in a rage? I'm sure everybody's gotten into a rage at least once in their life.
Where you're like at the moment of rage.
Or or take whatever moment, right? Whatever equally high emotional moment, and you can actually observe yourself in that moment. Like you could be like, yo, is this really happening right now? You know, and that's you observing how you are, like your feelings, the situation, like things may slow down and it's almost like you're viewing it from the outside.
Trying to consider your thoughts or like what you're saying right now. I mean,
So to say that, I would say it's the awareness that views everything that's
would be
beyond.
I'd be curious to know what someone who was brain dead, clinically like brain dead, what they experience and have the conversation, you know.
Well, I think that's pretty wild too, because essentially, isn't the brain just like the hardware, and then the mind is like the software? Right, the brain it receives things
Yeah,
from outside.
we would. It gets philosophical.
Yeah.
You know, we get metaphysical at that point. Which science is not based off of any of that. However, we're starting to see that perhaps maybe we should be indulging in metaphysics a little bit more in
Now,
order to find answers.
Also, with like brain dead, I wonder if you could bring that back, because getting into naturopathy, what a lot of people don't know is the human diet is a fruit diet. Our biological design is of a frugivore, and what fruit matter
Prove it.
does. Look at a chimpanzee, look at a gorilla, look at an orangutan.
We're not chimpanzees.
Yeah, but we got the same build.
Okay.
If you look at a horse, if you look at a deer, if you look at a dog, if you look at a cat, biologically we are different from them.
What
Whereas
about rats?
carnivores,
Rats eat it all.
are scavengers. They have them and other scavengers are similarly built.
Would we be
in the way
scavengers?
No.
Can we potentially be
Well, in
scavengers?
survival mode, you can. I mean, you can put really, really shitty fuel in your car, and your car will run on it, you know, for the time that you need to do it. But if you keep prolonging it, it's going to do damage, because that's not what it's designed for.
Let me ask you this: as someone who agrees with obviously,
Well, wait, hold on. Let me make the point that I was
Okay,
going to make before with the as far as like brain dead.
Okay.
Because I know with fruit, it's been clinically proven that you can rebuild brain and nerve tissue when you just stick to that diet. So talking about somebody that's brain dead, I wonder if something like that could restart the brain and regrow whatever is damaged in the brain. And if doing so, would that personality come back to that person? Would it be different? Would another vessel go in there? That's what I'm interested to know.
So would repairing the body where it would otherwise not have been repaired, is the personality that's coming back?
Because if somebody's brain dead, they're just there. They're alive, but they're like
body's there.
inanimate.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I don't think again, I don't know. As long as the body is intact, I think the soul remains there. Once the body begins to decompose, I think even at that stage, the soul may be there, until, I don't know. Honestly, I'm just there is a moment when the soul does leave, the body, and at that point.
Well, what I could speak on that is when I was like younger, like a family member was, they were dying, and I remember over the course that I saw them in the hospital, eventually just hit one point where I was like looking at them, I'm looking at them, but that's not them. Like, they're not in there anymore. And it was at that point I knew, like, they probably already passed on, but biologically the body's still here.
Oh, so you think that
Definitely.
the soul can leave the body?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. I really, if I had to assume, I'd think that we are connected to the body until the very end, until the body it's just, there's no more life in it.
Because when we speak about body, we're speaking about the physical body, but you also have your mental body, your astral body,
Yeah.
your emotional body. You have all those too. So if one of those leaves,
do you think consciousness is the common, like the common of the common point, the vector point, the epicenter of all these bodies coming into one specific point in time?
I think it's like the awareness operating beyond,
like
beyond them all.
an observable point.
You know what's really, really wild about awareness I never really thought of animals as like aware as we are.
Mhm.
But I remember one time, me and Ka are in the backyard, right? It's nighttime, we're talking, and there's some skunk. And usually there's always this skunk around the house, but he does his own thing. He never bothers anybody. So when I'm coming in and I see him, he's like a few feet away. I'm like, all right, he's cool. I don't bother him. He doesn't bother me. So me and Kyle were in the backyard talking. And as we talk, I see the skunk in the corner of my eye, but I'm like, all right, whatever. You know, I'm just talking to Kyle. And Kyle goes, at the same time, the skunk's like, they both had the same reaction to each other. And they both had, and at that moment, I was like, that was the same exact reaction. Like, that's like something that brings us together, you know? And I'm like, nah, Kyle, I'm like, he's cool. I was like, just talk to me. And then as soon as Kyle like started talking to me again, he just went back to what he was doing, just like sniffing around.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, that's wild.
Well, if animals do have consciousness, I don't know why, people act like animals don't have consciousness. Is weird. I think that that's one of the things people have a hard time gripping is the consciousness of other beings, and to think that people are eating like meat and killing cows and chickens and like grinding it alive, like all those kind of, it's sick. I think it's crazy. I also think that, dropping bombs on people and chopping arms off, like I think that's also gruesome and crazy.
I think about that too. But
it's
then
the nature, like human nature.
But now this is another thing too. Like I think about all that stuff happening and it's bad. However, there are laws of karma, and like karmically, I'm not saying that's the way it is, but I'm saying what if it had something to do with karma, and karmically that was coming back around to people.
Well,
I mean, I know it sounds fucked up, because what I'd like to know is like, even if you do believe in like past lives and this and that, if you're here in a new body and you don't remember it, like why should you still have to pay for and suffer for something that you don't even remember happened in a previous life, Well, but maybe that's what it is.
Could it be that that's someone else's will being infringed upon your free will, which is a debt that they will now have to pay?
Yeah, that too. But then again, it's like, is it just this?
Is Oppenheimer going to pay for creating
Mhm.
the bomb that was dropped that killed millions? Or what about the other people that was, how, to what extent does karma go? I mean, the nature of the universe is, the laws of nature and the applicability of the law, I think, is fascinating, because it's too much for the mundane to understand. You truly have to be an adept,
And
which is why, one second.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that at the end of it all, we say that a wise man would say that they know not. I don't know. I just don't know. I think I don't know is probably one of the wisest things a man can say.
And I agree with that statement too.
I just don't know.
Going back to karma, what I could add in there too. Everything has a price, and everything has a debt too. So like nothing is free. Everything is paid for.
Mhm.
You don't get something without losing something. You don't lose something without getting something. There's always that equilibrium.
Do you think that
So-
sacrifices that falls into that?
Well, everybody taught, like, when you say sacrifice, people automatically think of like blood sacrifice or human sacrifice. But dude, a sacrifice is like, you're sacrificing your time to learn something. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's
an exchange.
It's an exchange. You're sacrificing, your life if you're doing something that you don't want to do in that moment, but you have to. You're sacrificing that amount of your life for whatever you're gonna get. So everything is a sacrifice.
Mhm.
If you're doing one thing, like, okay, if you're gonna learn a martial art or whatever, you got to sacrifice those 4 years and all that pain and all that emotional turmoil to learn all that stuff. So that's,
Yeah.
but because if you look at the pain from things, usually it's like when you look at negatives and people just say, oh no, good vibes only. Well, that in itself is like,
It's impossible.
is like a bad thing, because through negative brings positive. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like you got to learn, like a lot of times negativity brings a positive thing from it.
Like a lot of hard work. Like, for example, going to war with your buddies. That's not literal war. Let's say you're on a football field, going through the pain. You may even see one of your closest friends break a leg or whatever, and going through these kind of, really difficult times
Yeah.
may forge a union
Yep.
of sorts. It kind of makes you stronger. It's like
yeah.
I remember the hard work that we did, but when we won that state championship, I was like thrilled. I felt it was one of the best feelings
Yeah.
I've ever had. So it's like it was a lot of stress, a lot of,
You know what I can add to that too? That's why I think like negative and positive, you don't look at the negative or positives. You don't focus on the feelings, you focus on the results.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, it's just we're in a result driven world.
Wait, you said something today that was to that effect. When we were talking on the phone,
What's
You-
that?
you were saying that when you were in the gym, and then you were speaking with a guy, and he
Yeah.
said something. What was it that he said?
Oh man, he said something along the terms of it was something along the terms of like how people make you feel, like pay attention to that. The subject matter was how's your 2024 going? And I was like, oh yeah, 2024 is going good. You know, literally at the beginning of the year, some negative energy cleared out. And the whole substance of the topic was the way people talk to you. Sometimes people could be doing things underhandedly or like throwing shade because they're being cowards about it. And it's that type of energy that you don't want to be around. You only want to be around production and like successful people. You know what I mean? And being that we're talking about negative and positive, that's a negative thing, but that's a type of negative thing where it's like you're not going to get no gain from it. You know,
There's not a
positive.
That's
it's
kind of like an.
It's like walking outside and somebody says, "Hey, F you," and you turn around and you make it into a thing.
Hold
like,
on, because I'm gonna challenge you on that. I
Yeah.
think that it is a positive, because you learn the negative, so
Facts.
the learning of it makes
you
it
know
a positive.
what to look out for. It's just
Yeah.
it's like the man that it's like a man that's been through hell, emotional or mental hell, but guess what? He's been through that, so now he sees somebody else with that, and now they don't have to go through what he went through because he
Right.
sees it, and now he could be better to help them out.
Wait, I have dude, I'm telling you, I have like all these questions about like the laws of nature and this and that, because a lot of people don't know, man. This is literally a lot of our topics, and like our conversations tend to steer in this direction every time we talk. It's kind of
Truth,
we build off of one another's knowledge, and then we joke a lot and we laugh, but we always kind of somehow always teeter. Is teeter a word? Yeah, teeter towards.
Teeter like.
Yeah, we're teetering towards knowledge opposed to just randomly talking a bunch of
Yeah.
nonsense. So, I mean,
And you know, that's actually really wild because a lot of times most people don't want to know the logic or the information of whatever the subject is. They just want to have the good feeling involved, you know?
I got that information, but they don't really.
They just like the feeling.
What's the Celestine Prophecy?
Oh, dude, that's a great book.
The Celestine Prophecy is a book that everyone, it's like you need to read it,
Yeah.
because it gives you an idea of how the universe works, and it does it in how life and energy can kind of bring and just, it's a good entry level book to higher levels of thinking about the universe. And one of the things that I find fascinating about having conversations with people that think like this is that it always leads to philosophy. And I personally, like, there's not much. We could sit here and talk about Iran and Iraq and Israel and blah 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 and Hamas, or we can have conversations that can also lead us to certain other thoughts and other. I had today I was watching a podcast that had this guy. Like, I would have never, I don't even know who this guy is. He's like a down south rapper. it was on the Nelk Boys podcast, right? And I'm sitting there listening to this guy, and he's like a real big, heavy set dude. You know, I'm assuming because like I said, I don't even know his name, to be honest. However, he was speaking in such a way that I like appreciated the podcast. I never really sat there and watched one of their podcasts, and I watched this podcast because I was listening to this guy talk, and he was talking about, he'd been to prison and Christianity, and then just his experience and listening to what he was saying made me think of what could I, like, as I'm thinking maybe I should I'm not trying to listen to this. Let me go listen to the news that may be more beneficial. But I said to myself, what can I gain from hearing this man speak? Let me give it an opportunity, and I'm actually happy. I still haven't finished watching it, which I'm going to. I owe myself that. But I think that question, like, what can I gain from listening to somebody who I may not, like, I know nothing about, like, why would I even have an interest in what he has to say? That question is going to be a net positive for me when I'm done watching this podcast, because I'm going to learn something.
You know what I think is so profound about that? Like, you hear people talking about cool topics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, as they're saying these things and making a story, you are visualizing it in your head. So a movie's playing in your head
Mm-hmm.
as I speak now, like as we were talking about consciousness and this and that, I'm sure, like, if I say that word consciousness, I'm sure in your mind there's a certain image associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
There is. I think so.
I think what people find so fascinating when you make these topics is these are concepts that it's like a new concept. So in their mental space, you didn't necessarily create it, but you brought it about to them. So essentially, from their point of view, you're creating that as their first experience of that concept. And people like new stuff, just like people like traveling, seeing new things. Well, it's the same thing in the mental planes too.
There's something that I read the other day. I'm gonna give credit where credit is due, and this was an Andrew Tate tweet. I'm actually trying to pull it up, but I don't really. I don't know how often he tweets, or sometimes I see his stuff sporadically, so I don't even know if I'll come across it. But Andrew Tate said something along the lines of this, and I thought it was an excellent tweet for young men. He said something along the lines of, imagine being you're a janitor, so you work with toilets. Now all of a sudden you have a knowledge of toilets. You go and do your research on toilets, and then you find out what's the best, most effective and efficient toilet that you can make, and what are the materials that is being used at the moment, and how could you make better, find a better composition to make better toilets. And I sat there, now as I'm reading this, I thought, that's literally how I think, which was one of the reasons why I became successful, because I found a problem that I wanted to find a solution for, but my main thought was, how could I help others? What could I do to service humanity? And Andrew Tate basically said it in his tweet, and gave examples, like with the toilet, of just that. And I wondered to myself, like, how many guys are actually listening to what this guy is saying and taking heed? Like, this is actually the keys. How are you making the world better? That the mind state of a successful man, in contrast to the mindset of somebody who's always like negative and a victim and always blaming society. And it's like, find a solution, make the world a better place. I don't know.
I think that, like talking about how when you set yourself on the right path, going from your internal compass, and I think other successful people who have done this too, they always come to the same conclusions and the same realizations. Because I think it's like when you're unlocking, it's like you're unlocking stats in a game, So it's like as you move up and up, and you unlock like this gold star here, then a bunch of dots, and you go to another one, bam, you unlocked another one. And I can attest to that, because when I really started delving into like studying naturopathy and just healing the body, like I just became so fascinated where I would like learn stuff and I'd get excited when I knew new information, bro. I literally wanted to tell everybody, like, I'm like, yo, I've never heard this before, and like, here's the science Here's the physics. Here's the natural law behind it. This is true, you know? And I just wanted to go and help everybody. But just from being on that wave, bro, dude, I never made so many friends. Like, bro, talk about like attracting women too, because you're on such a higher level where that's your only thing that matters. And because you're on like the way I think of it, it's like, you imagine like a line of energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going there and that's like your main thing. You're on your course. And as you're on your course, all these other things start branching into you because you're like a main source of something, you know? So I think while you're on that trajectory, you start running into all these other points where you're going to interact with these things that are on the same wave or want to be on the same wave as you.
In my world, they're called groupies.
Groupies.
Yeah. Groupies will see
But I
you
mean,
succeeding, brother. And
I don't just mean like people.
In Spanish, there's a funny word. It's called sangronas. You guys, sangronas.
Yeah.
It's like saying bloodsuckers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, there's people who are bloodsuckers who they see you on this path and they want to just pull, just let me get a little bit of your energy because you're doing good.
Yeah.
So I want to latch on to your energy, your essence, your vibration. You know, it's like one of those things where you got to be careful. These other things,
so
these
you're
other
saying
branches.
You're breaking the chains, but then they're trying to throw the chains on and come for the ride.
Yeah. A lot of people are like that.
I think, well, in essence, isn't that what a lot of people that are bound by like the material world as their first thing that literally grounds them versus people that are in the ether of their subject or their study or their work towards humanity? I think that, you're going to come across people that are just doing that just for the physical, but then you're also going to run into like these big power players out there that are just like you are, where they're not really attached too much to stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think it's a very, very fine parallel. And I think it ties a lot in with women too. And like a lot, how like we speak on them, like, you know, how like in this world, like they've become very like materialistic, very just about what can you do for me and all this stuff. Well, there's this like one model. I don't know what it's called, but I know it's a star, right? And in the star, you have ether, then you have air, then you have fire, water, and
sounds
and
like
then it goes
some
back to
Baphomet.
No, it's
No, you know the Baphomet's not really bad.
Well, no,
Oh,
well,
shit.
I mean, I'm not saying in essence like that. I'm talking about
The Baphomet really isn't bad.
well, the parallel that I'm going to draw
Like
with that.
what it means, the significance of it is really not bad. It's
well,
like
the thing that I'm going to draw with that is, I forget what system this is, but it's like 5 elements, and then like ether's in there too. Well, when you look at man, his number 1 is the ether, so it's of the mind. Whereas the woman's on the same thing, their number 1 is the ground, so earth. So it means that they're more like material, whereas men are more like of the mental aspect and like the non-physical.
what would that be?
Well, I could. Okay, here's a perfectly good explanation. When you look at the value of men and women, right? When you look at a woman, at first look, their value is their physical beauty and their appearance at first glance. Whereas a man, it's like, what does he do?
To somebody who values that,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that for someone who values
No, I'm saying like
on a biological level,
based on that chart,
yeah,
the way men find value in women is the physical, which would be a material thing with the woman,
right.
whereas that they bring, that's their thing. Whereas us, it's like, oh, what do we do? How do we carry ourselves? How do we conduct ourselves? A lot of these things are like not a set in stone physical thing, but a way of being.
That's
know?
why when you ask women, they'll tell you about all these non-physical markers that they bring to a man because that's what they are attracted to. It's kind of like, okay, well, what do you bring to the table? And they're just telling you about they're bringing
That's why they
happiness.
all think,
I bring love. I bring all these things that are you can't really measure.
That's why they can't understand how a man would rather be with some girl that's a cashier over a girl that's a multimillionaire if the cashier is better looking than her. You know?
Well,
I wouldn't say just better looking, like, you know, better, because, you know, I mean, look, to an extent, like, I mean, look, we're all attracted to beauty, you know? Aesthetics are extremely important in the world. They run everything. So of course we want a beautiful woman, but at the same time we want to have some substance too.
I've learned that no matter how beautiful a woman is, if she has no substance about her, if there's nothing, you can't have a conversation with someone that's progressive, that's enlightening, that's if as a man I want to teach. So if I can't teach you anything and it's just like bickering and we're talking about, it's like hanging out with a dude who only wants to talk about football.
Yo,
I don't care that much
yeah.
to listen to you talk to me about goddamn what Derek Jeter's
Well, you know what
doing.
it is, bro. Essentially, like the woman, it's like, why does she really like you? It's like, okay, when you're attractive, she's attracted to you, but then when she starts to know you, because she thinks you're cool, bro, she wants to be like you, you know? All the traits that women like you ever read those things that women write? Oh, she was confident, and she just like, like they'll post a picture and they'll write like some bullshit down. They're like, oh, she's like so confident. Like we go out and she's like, oh, don't worry about it, babe. I got it. Like those masculine qualities that they like confidence or like assertiveness. Most women are not confident. Most women are not assertive. You know what I mean? Those are masculine principles, So they're attracted to that. So when they see that in a man, they want to be like that. Same thing with like the philosophy of a man. It's like, what makes somebody cool? It's like, yo, their philosophy, the way they carry. It's like, yo, you can tell like people that are fuckboys versus people that are just, yo, that's a cool dude. That guy, he's a cool guy, and women will see this and they'll want to be like that. So they'll start attaching themselves to him and molding themselves to him. It's like, bro, look at like all these musicians, like, look at like Kanye and everything, like how he is and like the way he's dressing. Like his girl has a very, very similar style, but like the feminine version as compared to him. And like, or if like you look back to like the way Kim Kardashian used to talk about Kanye and this and that, how he's like a genius and this and that. That was at one point a woman who had adored him and idolized him, And essentially when we're finding women, that's how they are towards us.
I don't necessarily know, if Kanye West and Kim Kardashian and Ye, respectfully.
Yeah.
If Ye and Kim Kardashian is a good example, because I don't know how much love that woman has.
Well, the parallel with which I'm drawing by using that example is saying like how he is, like how he's like a musician and how I've heard her talk about him.
Oh, I have. See, I don't know. It's interesting. I have such a negative perspective of her, and I don't know her.
Yeah.
And I don't judge her based on anything other than what I do know of her.
Yeah.
So, she's maybe a good person. I respectfully don't know her. However, I'm not eager to meet her. You know what I mean? Like I would prefer to speak with Eric Weinstein. I don't know if you know who that is.
It sounds familiar, but I'm not putting an image to his face.
He's like a physicist. I'd be more interested in like judging the moral compass of somebody who's actually doing things that I would have an interest in.
Yeah.
I think, for example, somebody like Kim Kardashian is not servicing the right side of history. You know what I mean? It's more like I could probably tie them into more demonic things than tie them into more
of course.
I'm not saying that that's what you're saying. I'm just speaking with regards to where my mind went when you were speaking about, Kanye. And
I sort of felt that too, but I use that because on a sort of way, if you look at Kanye as like a creator, I don't really necessarily follow both of them, but this is just something that just stuck out when I said it. That's the image that came to my mind, so I just went with it. How Kanye's a creator, and essentially it's like, like when you look at most things, men are the creators of things.
Let me bring up this this thing. I want to know your opinion on this. Recently, this Lil Nas X, you familiar with that artist? He's the guy who went down the stripper pole down to hell and gave the devil a lap dance.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now that guy is made, like, he's coming out with like some I don't know if it's a new song with a music video, and it's about, I don't know if he's Jesus or however, it's something to do with Jesus, right? And this is just me, man. I'm just thinking, how are Christians going to react to having someone disrespect their Messiah or the Messiah?
I think that they're just going to take it, because me personally, with what I've seen as like growing up in a Christian family and being around Christian people, bro, Christian people do not practice what Christianity is. It's too much of like, oh no, well, only God can judge me and this and that. And like, yeah, but how many Instagram bios do they say God first, and then the way they're acting, the way they're dressing is completely against the religious doctrine.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of.
So it's like, nobody sticks up for it. Everybody wants to interpret things and say, oh yeah, well that was back then. These are different times now. And I'm like, no, things don't change. Like all throughout history, things have gone through periods of progression where they've experimented and those things just don't work. And it's happened over and over again.
Can I push back on that?
Yeah.
If there is one constant, it is change. Change is a universal law. So if it just so happens that maybe this is the kind of the time.
Well, yeah. Well, change is a universal law, but the basic laws and building blocks within that hold those things together, if those are not there, everything falls apart.
Would you go to a Lil Nas X concert if it was for free and they're giving you $50,000?
Yo, if it was just free, I wouldn't go. But just for the 50,000, I would.
You'd sell your soul.
I'm not selling my soul. I'm just doing it for the.
Brother, listen. I swear to you, you could give me 50. You could give me 50,000 right now on everything. To go to a Lil Nas concert, I'm not doing it.
Doesn't mean I have to listen to it or like it.
Yeah, you could go there with some headphones. That's respects. I'm not saying.
Yo, I would just be matter of fact
for 50,000. It's not like I'm asking. It's not crazy.
If I was there, people would think that I'm like a producer or a manager or something, because I would not be dancing. I'd be like,
no, you got nosebleed seats. Like,
yo,
you got. You're like all the way like this dude. You really have to love Lil Nas X.
So essentially,
so
essentially, any way that I try and redeem this, you're just gonna throw something else in there, where it's like, nah, it's like, well, no, I'm not gonna watch him. You're like, nah, you got to be on stage. You got to be on stage watching him. And I'm like, nah, I won't do it. Well, at least I could pretend this. And you're like, nah, you can't pretend. You gotta like it. Well, yo, in that case, I'm not doing it.
Word. All right, cool, man.
But I mean, if I could just go to the concert, it's like, okay, there's the concert. As soon as I walk past this door, I'm officially in the concert. All right, well, I'm just gonna chill there and just be like, just on the phone, and be like, yeah, I'm gonna get this with the 50 G's. I'm gonna use it for this and this and that.
I'm gonna give you. Let me switch it up a little bit. I wanna ask you what is some things, right, that you would say to men, right? If you're a successful guy, what are some of the things that you would say to men that you wanna, because. Yeah, we could sit here and laugh all day. We're good. But there are people out there that are not good. They're living in their cars. There's guys right now that are literally sleeping in their vehicles, trying to make it work, trying to find, the love of their life, prioritizing that, having that desire for family.
All right, cool. This is actually perfect. So in life, when you don't have control over the outside world, you still have control over yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have control over what you do, for the most part, what you eat, where you are, what you choose to read, what you choose to see, what you choose to do. You have control over that. So I'd be extremely disciplined over just self with what you can be disciplined over. And with that, that's going to change the whole energy of how you are. It's going to change your mindset. It's going to change your way of viewing things. And from that, once you start doing that, you're going to be at the top of the mountain for where you are, and you're going to be able to see further for what your next step is.
Would you think that or would you say a lot of guys nowadays they're being hindered by their own what they're consuming? Is that because you had mentioned what you eat, that's one thing, but that's also what you consume, like what you're watching, what you're paying attention to. What should guys pay attention to nowadays? Like you go on Instagram, the algorithm, and I don't know what you're like. you're my best friend. However, we are completely different. Your world is different than how like I was raised. You know, you love cars. I'm curious when you're on your, IG and you're scrolling down, how much of what you see is cars?
Well, look, it's like, I mean, yeah, I like cars.
What is attacking the algorithm? Because that's my point.
Yeah.
My point is like,
Well, I will
where
say
is
this.
it steering?
I can actually speak on this personally because I participated in a study a few years back where all we had to do was there was like 50 of us and there was 50 different phones, and for like a straight up like it was like I don't know 10 or 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So we would go around, we'd go to the table, we'd pick up the phone, and they would say, just like they would say like happy, make a happy expression, sad,
Mhm.
make a sad expression. Essentially, what it was doing was they were gathering data to see what you look like in a certain state. So that's why I always pay attention to things on the phone, and I always pay attention to my status or my feelings inside when I'm looking
wait,
at it.
hold on, bro. That was kind of wild.
Yeah.
So hold on. You just said that you participate. Now, do you have non-disclosures on this, or you could speak on this?
I mean, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you participated in a study
Yeah.
where they told you, "Yo, grab this phone and smile and whatever." Like basically,
It was me and a bunch of other people.
yeah, yeah.
And essentially, it was a Chinese company,
Mm-hmm.
and you would look at the screen and you would give it a certain emotion, because they were trying to, I guess, build like an algorithm for emotions
Yeah,
or an AI for emotions.
that's so wild, man.
Yeah.
What,
So that's why whenever I see things, I'll pay attention to my mood and also pay attention to what's coming up on the phone, and I'm very, very aware of it.
who has the resources to say, I'm going to fund this project were they psychologists or were they AI guys? Like who were the,
Well, look, you definitely
did
have
they
to
have white coats on in there? Like what was going on?
Well, no, because what they'll do is they'll go through a marketing company.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, let's say I want to do some research and I want to find this out. So you have a company where you can get people to do that. So I pay you a certain amount, and then you have people that find people that want to do this. They'll say, hey, do you have time to participate in this? It's going to be on, this date. We're going to give you we'll give you $150. You'll be here for like an hour or two. We're going to have you do some things on the phone, answer a questionnaire. We're going to talk to you at the end, and then that's it. Then we're going to give you the money and you can go. And that's usually how these things go.
Sounds nefarious.
Bro, they do it for everything. They even
Yeah.
do it for like new shows before they go on TV.
Mm-hmm.
They'll
Yeah,
show
they're
you,
called
like-
pilot programs.
Yeah.
So in government, when you have a project that you want to, or let's say at the United Nations, I know about that. You have NGOs.
Mm-hmm.
What NGOs will do is they'll fund or get companies or a group of companies or whatnot to fund pilot programs. And what pilot programs are, they're basically like a small scale version
Mm-hmm.
of a program where it's less investment, but we're going to see how it works. Let's see if we get
Yeah.
the results that we want. And then you can, implement it at a governmental level.
But
you
how
know?
much of that stuff is really thought out and planned versus masterminded by somebody who knows how to influence others?
And that's the thing, what percentage of ideas that are circulating are actually, not orchestrated for like actual, I'll give you an example because I may not be expressing myself right. How many ideas, like let's say for example, we may have the idea of, bettering the world through jobs. We want to create more jobs, right? So we put our time and energy into finding ways to do so. However, our program, what we develop and the connections that we build and make, someone with an incredible amount of wealth and influence and this, that, and the third, instead of looking to do something like what I'm describing, they're looking for ways to do the exact opposite of that. How could we, get rid of this sector of the market because we don't need people to throw the garbage out. We can automate it and we can have robots and you know what I'm saying? So while they're thinking about ways to make things easier, the effects, the negative positive, right? It's like the law of the universe. the effect of that is, oh well, we're automating garbage trucks. Okay, so then me as on the other side of it, I'm thinking, oh well, now I have to find ways to get men into engineering AI systems so that they can learn code and blah 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 blah, so that they can make automated dumpster trucks or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Well, you know, you see a lot of this programming in movies before certain social movements happen, or before like technological breakthroughs or
you see it in
thought
movies.
forms happen. They happen in movies first, and you may see like one movie from a while ago where it delved into it a little bit, and then you may notice like 5 to 10 years later, a lot more movies are like this, and then like you notice today, like yo, all the movies are like that.
yeah.
You know?
It's
So-
kind of like the technology that I saw for Transformers. I liken it to that.
Yeah.
Where when I think the first time that they created CGI, and it was like the first time they were gonna launch it out to the public, and they used like movies for that, was the Transformer movie, where they're like, oh look at this is a brand new level of technology in the digital screen, blah 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 blah. Like I recall that being a thing where it's like, oh, the Transformers and all the movements of the parts and the auto, like all that stuff happening at the same time was like, whoa, that's awesome, right? So from that, now you have the progression, which is like, we don't really think much of, Transformer movies. We're just like, oh yeah, it's just cool technology to see. But the future of that, what's the next step? Oh, the 3D. Now we have the 3D stuff. The future, the next step in that is what? Immersing. We're like, what are they gonna do? Plug us to a wall or to the thing, and we're gonna like be in the movie. It's always, there's steps that we can kind of like, I've seen that before. You know what I mean? Like I've seen that technology. Like I'm familiar with it. They familiarize us with what the technology is, and then boom, all of a sudden it's out here, and then we become comfortable with it, and then they give you something else to familiarize yourself with, and then it's like,
But here's also another thing, because that's also a form of future pacing, where they're giving you an image of the future and how it's going to be. So when it comes apart, you're like, oh, well, I guess this is just the way things are. Bro, I've talked to some people about things like electric cars, for example, how I think it's a terrible idea. And they're like, oh, well, that's just the way things are. That's just the way it's going to be. I'm like, no, that's not the way things have to be.
I don't think electric cars are bad, man. I think literally it's the future. What's wrong with electric cars?
Well, because I think with electric cars, like, I don't think that they just do things. And when I say they, I don't think the powers that be do things for your general benefit.
This is what I'd say to that.
I think, well, hold on. This is the point I'm going to make with it. Because like with electric cars, you can turn them off whenever. They're not more fuel efficient than gasoline cars. When you look at where all the batteries are coming from, plus you have to use these big machines that go through how many tens of gallons per minute while they're mining all this stuff, plus all the people that get displaced or they get destroyed in the process of doing that, or get killed or get sick trying to get these things. Like little kids like digging like rare earth minerals to make cell phones and stuff like that. We're gonna have cars that are like that. Plus, if they get into accidents, water only makes the fire get crazier. And then they could turn it off whenever they want. And then what happens next when they're all plugged into the grid? And then they say, okay, well now we're gonna raise electric rates.
Okay, so this is where I'm going with it. At some point, I think that we are going to tap into 0-point energy, where it's going to just be, the Tesseract type of energy, where we have an unlimited supply of energy, which there's people on YouTube and, whatever other 4chan, whatever other websites that I'm sure that they're in, that are trying to expose people to hydro-powered vehicles. And there are guys out there, that are really trying to push for other forms of energy.
There are people out there that know it and that have actually made prototypes.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that would be the reason why you don't want to just, now all of a sudden it's because it would would destroy society.
Yeah.
We think that it would actually be a benefit, but at scale, it would most like what are you gonna do with all the cars?
Well,
then we would need all the parts.
I see. And it's funny. I was actually thinking about the exact same thing last night, but with like cows and like slaughterhouses, and I was saying like, you know, like, because the whole thought was, I had like looked at something on Instagram and it was like a vegan of like 9 years eating meat for the first time. And I was like, my initial thought was like, I don't eat meat and I never care to. So I was like, that's kind of weird. But then I was thinking, I was like, yo, if everybody just stopped eating meat, what would we do with all the cows and chickens and everything everywhere? The billions of animals. 'Cause, yo, what do they kill? They kill like 1 billion animals a year, right?
Billions, bro.
Billions, man.
Billions.
And then I was thinking, like, what would you do with all these? Like, just if you just let them die somewhere, just the rotting corpses would poison the water and just poison the land. And no, you'd have to slowly transition everything to it.
And here's the thing on the flip side of that. It's like, I mean, not on the flip side, but in addition to, you have the whole entire world living off of like flesh.
Yeah.
So you have the known world, because I don't know about, you know, Argartha, whatever, the inner earth world where they, you know, eat
The majority of the
mushrooms.
world lives off of the devil's diet.
Well, is it? That's the thing. It's like, is
Well,
it? You
well,
can have a vegan.
Well, I mean, look, the reason why I say like the devil's diet is because, you know, going back into naturopathy, when you look at all these things that make people sick, they are against the natural order of how people should be eating. When you're, I mean, look, I mean, can you be healthy and eat meat? Sure. But I mean, to detox, you're never going to detox on meat. You're never going to detox on vegetable matter. You can only detox on fruit, or, you know, through fasting. You know what I mean? So when you're eating these things, you're not making yourself healthy. You're bringing your health down. You're eating the meat. The meat has, after the whole chemical process it goes through in the acid bath of the stomach, and then through the alkaline bath, because I know you have like an acid bath.
You have your ileocecal valve.
And yeah, that's the alkaline wash, right?
Your ileocecal valve is the part of your stomach that attaches to the long intestine.
Yeah.
And I guess it's, I don't know. I
The
wouldn't
whole
be able
point
to-
being, at the end of the digestive process of meat or any animal products, it's an acid hit on the body.
Yeah.
And when it's an acid hit on the body, your body cannot be acidic, because acidic causes all those problems. It literally is the number one cause of all disease. It's just, it's chronic acidosis, you know? So when you look at that in the body, your body needs to pull the alkaline minerals and material out of your bone, your connective tissue, and everything. And it just keeps on doing this. Now, if we were meant to eat acidic foods like that, you would have something in your body which would automatically compensate and fix that, but it doesn't. And you find out when you get people off all this stuff and you start putting them on fruits and you start giving them herbs, they start healing up. Look at people who go into the emergency room for trauma. What's one of the first things they do? They hook them up to, not only fasting, they're hooked up to saline solution, which is alkaline.
Let me say this. You remember the podcast that I was telling you about, this big guy?
Yeah.
The Nelk Boys? Okay. The reason why I found it really kind of fascinating was because on the podcast, they were taking IVs. And I'm like, man, that's kind of wild.
Like, what do you mean IVs?
They were, yeah.
Like
exactly.
in their blood?
Yeah, they were literally, there was a lady that was coming through and she was putting IVs in their arm. And I was like, huh, these guys, and these are millionaires. Like, these guys are wealthy people.
Yeah.
This guy is wealthy, and he's sitting there getting, you know, this is the kind of conspiracy theory stuff that you hear about. It's like, oh, what is adrenochrome? And they're just sitting there, you know, getting IVs. And apparently, I'm assuming that it's saline. I don't know what they're pumping into themselves, but it was like water or something. I don't know. But it seemed like something normal. He talked about it. I wasn't tuned in when he was like kind of talking about it. But it's for health benefits, and there's a doctor that he like goes to that's, I guess, well known, I'm not sure, that puts people on this. And it's like, I guess, for a hangover, one of the guys were saying that this is what
I will say this, maybe in the very, very short term it's good, but I know one thing, if they're getting any chemistry put in their body, and I know that you can attest to this too, if it's just plain chemistry, that's a bunch of free radicals, because I know a lot of times things have to be balanced or they're going to throw things off in the body. So if they're just doing that and they keep doing that, they're going to start running into problems. That's why, like, all these people that you hear about that take all these supplements, it's unbalanced chemistry broke from its natural chains, which, like, you know, it's
you're
like,
absolutely right.
it's wild. Like when you look at like fruits, right? And like to even go deeper into like the fact that there is a creator, it's like you look at that and you look at in these fruits, they have everything that balances everything out on a
Like your saliva actually plays a role
with everything.
in your mastication of it.
Yeah.
Plays a role in your digestive system's preparing for.
You know
like,
what's wild too?
You're absolutely right.
So people that, you know how like if you start taking digestive enzymes, it'll pretty much shut down your insulin production for digesting things. Well, you know, a lot of people that have that problem, what they can do is when you eat something, chew it extra long and introduce a lot of saliva because you have digestive enzymes in your saliva.
Mm-hmm.
And through time, that'll start rebuilding everything,
Yeah.
you know, for people that can't digest.
Right.
So it's like, it's wild stuff like that, but it's the fact that like, you know, when you're eating these fruits, everything is naturally balanced in there already. So when you're getting that stuff, that's the natural way of doing it. And when people are sidestepping these things with IVs, like they think they got it figured out, but it's only going to lead to something else in the long run.
Do you want to know something that I just think it's interesting? There is a correlation between how much pressure you chew with and your anxiety and stress. So, and this is an exercise everyone should try at home. When you're chewing, try not to really grind your teeth. Like you may not even realize, but slow down when you eat.
Yep.
It actually promotes happiness. It'll put you in a state of happiness. It'll make you feel more at ease.
Now, let me ask you this, bro. Drawing on that parallel.
Yeah.
You remember when we were younger, how long it would take me to eat everything?
Yeah.
Remember, dude, whenever we'd go anywhere or
You were real slow with
I
it.
was always the last one eating.
Yeah. Same
know?
with me. I'm very slow. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I eat slow. Yeah.
I always remember being like the slowest eater out of everybody.
I don't know, man. I'm up there. I'm up there with the slowness.
Man, let's get a bowl of rice and beans and let's test that theory.
We should.
Yo, we should, bro.
Are you hungry?
Bro, I'm actually hungry right now. But I never really thought about that. I always thought I was the slowest one.
Yeah, no. I tend to eat. You could ask these guys wherever they're at, but but yeah, I don't really eat. Like I eat slow. I'm a slow eater. 100%. I don't like eating. I think it's just like my nature. I just don't.
Yeah.
My father taught me to eat with your family. So I would always eat, you know, and my dad was the first to eat. You know, he'd be it's like we had like order. My father would be the first to eat. You don't eat ahead of the king. And then we would eat. And I mean, he wouldn't finish his plate, but he'd be the first to get going. And you know, as you know, we wouldn't really talk during our food, but we would exchange, you know, whatever.
You know what's wild, man? Eating has always been, especially for humans, it's always been a social thing. And you know what I find wild too? You know what's a universal language when you're eating that everybody will understand? You ever bite into something that's just so delicious and you're like, if I just bite into it and look at you and go like and shake it, you automatically know that's like a 10 out of 10 peach or a mango or whatever I'm eating.
Yeah. That's true. It's like a natural form of communicating.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's good.
And anyone will understand that. They'll be like, oh, this dude thinks it's good.
So like if you grabbed a mango and bit into it and went like, you think the guy like the whatever Indian that, you know, never met the white man was like, oh, he likes it. You know, you want to know, this is a funny, like a story in Dominican Republic. They have a story about how the word mango came to be, right? They, you know what mango is?
Of course.
All right.
Of course, bro. I love mango.
Yeah. So when you know, for those that don't know, it's plantain, you know, it's like mashed up, right? And there's two kinds of plantains. There's like sweet plantain and then there's like the green one. So the green plantain, and whatever I really don't know the technical parts of it, but it's just called mango, right? But the yellow one is what I'm referring to, like squished is mango. I think that's like what people know it as. So whatever the story goes, the Europeans came through, and then when the Indians gave the guys the mango, they ate it and they said, man, good. Like, man, this is good. Like,
sense.
man, good. And then the Indians was like Mangu, Mangu, and then they just stuck with the name Mangu. But that's just a story.
So that seems like the basis of like all language. It's like somebody will have a certain grunt or a certain sound for something, and over time through slang it starts evolving and it turns into a language.
You know, it's weird. I think that it's really mathematical when it comes to language. Like a lot of things that, you know, that we like the etymology of words, like the symbol of it and how it is. It's kind of like, I don't know, man. There's something deep there. It's like it's math almost.
It's funny that you bring up math because that's like a non-verbal language.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's another non-verbal language that I always think about?
A non-verbal language that.
Bro, when you drive on the road, the way people drive, that is a language.
Oh yeah,
you can tell what's gonna happen before it happens
mm-hmm.
based on the way somebody drives, the way they're in the lane, the way the car's all over the place, if it accelerates too fast, based on the way the car looks, the area that you're in. I think that's
cues. You pick up subtleties. I believe it's called. Yeah, I mean that's true. Let me see. What was I gonna say? I don't really want to get into crazy topics about modern stuff, but I am interested in getting into some of the relationship topics and closing because we've been going for, you know, let's say we got another 30 minutes and it'll be 2 hours. I think that's pretty decent. I kind of want to for these next 30 minutes talk about relationships and you know, because we were speaking on those things, and there were some things that you had said that made a lot of sense with regards to where men were, as far as not feeling fulfilled in life without having a woman, not being able to date women.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to just kind of go in on some of those things that you know.
Man.
As far as men go.
No, I think like, and I don't know if it's just from men just being thirsty or if it's the fact that no matter where you go, like sex is thrown at you, be it if you're on Instagram or if you're watching a movie or if there's an ad somewhere, everything is always, they attack two things, your sex drive and also your hunger too, because food and sex, they use that to pretty much get you to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see it everywhere because those are like the two.
Did you hear that dude snoring?
Nah.
Yo, Chris, you up? Oh, okay. I thought I heard some snoring going on.
Damn. Who's sleeping over there?
Eric is passed out over there? Oh, word. All right. Oh, yeah, you're not. Oh, dang. What you guys was doing? Oh, man.
Working on a personal project. That's a good sidetrack.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I just heard like snoring. I'm like, yo, I hope this.
You're not going crazy.
All right, cool.
Yo, that's a perfect example.
Sorry.
What he just mentioned.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of like a man that's on his purpose. And yo, the man is so driven, he didn't sleep in 24 hours.
24 hours.
Dude, you know what kind of internal creative energy and vision you got to have to be like, listen, I can't sleep right now. This is too important.
Brother, these guys.
It's that type of energy.
I can't find enough words to say about these guys. Like they are, you know, I'm honored.
Yeah.
Literally, brother. You know me.
Yep.
I'm honored to have them around me. Like I feel great.
Yep.
And I don't like having people around me. I don't make new friends. You know how it is. I'm locked in. Like I have my friends. I'm good.
Yep.
And I'm happy to have met them and you know, I'm all in on their drive.
Yeah.
I'm in, you know, I'm in. Like whatever visions they have, I want to be a part of and I want to help, and they're helping our vision. Like it's this is a manifestation of our vision.
So this is also a parallel of like, remember how I was talking about before, how like you just set off and you're just on your trajectory and you're just like that just beam of energy just going. And as you go, now you have these, you know, you have the producers that are like ping, ping into that. And now they're also on that trajectory too.
Yeah.
All because you set that trajectory.
Right.
However, you may not necessarily be attached to them. You're attached to the vision and the goal of what you're embarking on right now.
Right.
And they're there. And with that, you're going to have other people that are like-minded attached to it. Because, like, you know, I've talked to the producers, bro. They're not, I don't take them as somebody that's, what's the term? trying to just suck the energy. Like, remember you made that point
Yeah.
before of people that will just come like try and suck the
Yeah,
blood.
yeah.
Like, so they're actually proof of the point that I was making before of like the positive aspect of it.
They're
you know?
a good balance.
They're a good balance.
Yeah, we're still moving in the same direction.
Yeah.
Like my trajectory has not even an inch swayed in any way. It's
Yep.
like they literally added value and in a way where it's organic. You
And
know?
that's how you have to be, man, because what I honestly believe, like, and this is going back to the point that you were just talking before we thought that he was sleeping,
Mhm.
you know, is like with men and everything. And I think they're too attached to like the validation of a woman, like needing a woman to co-sign for them to say, okay, you're good, you're successful now, you got this. I think too many men are not just authentically just vibing and just being themselves. And it's like, yo, when's the last, okay, let's take you for example, man. I always bring this up, man. You are a character. The way you dress, you're completely, what's the word? You're completely unique. There's a lot of people that I could look at and say, this person is like this demographic and they fit into this category of people. They fit into that category of people. But as far as you, I'd say you fit into a very, very rare category of like an ancient type of person, you know? So it's like you have that. There are other people that could be doing that in their own ways, but they're not. They're all like
NPCs almost.
They're all NPCs. They're all like a clone of something else.
Yeah.
Bro, they're all Smiths. They're all Agent Smiths.
Smiths.
Yep.
Dude, listen, traveling is one of those
Yeah.
things where opened my eyes to me.
Yeah.
Like when I go to another country, people are like, "Oh, look at that guy. Like he looks different."
Yeah.
However, walking in New York City, you get like you're just another weirdo walking
Yep.
around like, whereas when I'm somewhere else, people actually sit there and like appreciate me for being different or whatever, Whereas you're in the city and everyone's just so like, oh, there's another weird. It's like you probably desensitized.
Bro, they have
to all the.
the problem is, man, because New York City is not a normal, natural environment for people. Usually people live in communities of a few hundred maybe, and that's probably pretty big
Yeah.
for a community. If we're talking about like a realistic community where if like I had a farm and then like a quarter mile down the road there was like another guy and in that area there was maybe just like a few hundred people, that would be a community. So when you're in New York City, bro, they have so many interactions that it's like they've seen it all. They don't care. They're too crammed. They're too like, they got so much going on. It's like they lose the human element. And also New York City is very, it parallels with which when you look at the buildings, bro, the buildings are just like, they're just structures just for function and without form. You know what I mean? They just have, you don't see no gargoyles no more. You don't see no fancy like wood carvings or anything. Well, I mean, like, if you walk into the Empire State Building, like when you walk into the entrance, they have like the nice Art Deco design and everything. But most buildings now, everything is just modern and everything just like, just get
plain
it done.
White, like
Plain white, like nothing
no
cool.
emotions.
No emotions.
This is what's that movie where there's a movie where they take away all like the art stuff to program people to not have emotion.
Yo, are you talking about where they take take the pills not to experience any emotion?
Yeah, that's one of the movies, but there's also the
Yeah.
book. I think it's called
Fahrenheit something.
451.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they take away everyone's like all the books, all the paintings.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a real thing, man.
That is a real thing.
Modernization is taking away people's individualism.
Bro, they're doing that, and they're also like, when I mentioned aesthetics before, man, they're trying to take beauty away. It's like now, it's like, bro, anyone could be a model. It's like, why'd you have a model back in the day?
AI, bro, listen. AI, these AI filters, every girl is like on the AI filter. It's for the women out there.
Mm-hmm.
Do the complete opposite. If all the girls are doing AI filters, have enough common sense to, you want to be different? Show your true beauty.
Yep.
That's how you stand out.
Yo, this is such a parallel because I was just talking to my mother earlier about this, right? And I was explaining to my mom about trying to remember exactly like what I had asked her. Oh no, matter of fact, I had showed her a clip of you talking about women being the table, and I was like, Mom, what do you think about that? And my mom's like, you got to find you know, you got to find yourself like a wholesome girl, like a natural beauty, like where she doesn't need makeup, but she's pretty without it.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, you know, conservative, and she's not out there like all these women. And when I was thinking, I was like, that's so true, because, you know, it's like, bro, it's like, man, I'm in the gym and I see these girls wearing like booty shorts and like, you know, pretty much just like bras and everything, and I'm like,
over it.
I'm like, look, you look good, that's cool, but yo, you'd be so much more attractive if you were conservative, because then that says something about your nature and your soul. And then plus, I already know you're looking good underneath there. You know what I mean?
What I don't like is the idea of other men gawking at my girl.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like you're looking at a girl and you're fantasizing about pounding it.
Yeah.
And then every other dude in the room is also thinking the same thing.
Yeah, man, it's an impure thought.
Brother, it's it's demonic,
It is.
because now you're
100%.
bringing the spirit of a man to his lower nature,
Yeah.
and now we have to climb out of it.
Yo,
That whole thing
yep.
is kind of it's like, I don't want to say, I just don't want to get deep into this to this degree. However, there is, you know, the steps. You know, there's like 7 steps to enlightenment. I don't want to get deep into it, but there's like, you know, you got to climb out of your lower nature, right? You got to climb your chakras. You got to go from your root chakra.
Matter of fact,
to
bro,
your,
I actually have a thing on my phone about that, where it shows the stairs to enlightenment, and as you're getting there, it shows like lust, and it's like a dude chained down, and it shows like the demons trying to grab him on the side. It's Indian-esque.
Yeah.
But it shows all the things that hold you down as you go up and up more.
You're climbing up the cabal.
Yeah.
Like you're going up.
And bro, you know what the wild thing is? What I think a lot of people don't understand, like all this shit that they want, like, you know, sex and like all these carnal things, you can have that once you reach a point of not wanting that stuff and being disciplined. And once you get to that, you're going to get it in its purest form.
So here's the vision of, if I say close your eyes and picture a white rabbit, your mind pictures the white rabbit. You look at a woman showing you her literal urethra through yoga pants. Your mind as a man you're going to see the sexualized
Of course.
version of, like,
Yeah.
this is what they're doing. It's not, you know, you sexualize the woman.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're presenting this to you, now you have to climb out of that thought.
Yeah.
Because the first thing that it does is it attracts you to their lower self, and this is literally physics. For all you women who talk crazy, stupid shit, it's physics, okay? Light, curvature, it attracts your vision. It's the curvature of light. When light hits the female figure, the body, the curves, it attracts men. It's the complete opposite of how we are. So it'll attract us, right? Plus the pheromones, right? Your hormones being in the air, and it's going to attract men. So you're walking around with your entire body showing. It's going to be provoking men, being provocative. You're being provocative, and now we have to climb out of that. It's like a constant, we got to climb out of the desire of lust so we can focus on our vision. And my whole thing is, who is controlling the media, right?
Yeah.
Or who is controlling the ad agencies and the Instagram? Like, why is it that we are promoting that? You know, in China, for example, I don't know the China algorithm. I don't have WeChat to see what the heck is going on in China. But I'll tell you what, on a personal level, I'm not very attracted to like flat chest, flat booty, like what you may see the a stereotypical Asian body. So the Asian man's inner works may not be as, you know, looking for, you know, the bootylicious type, like their subconscious mind may not be desiring what the subconscious mind of like black men have to go through with what we see because
Yeah.
what we're attracted to.
Yep.
I don't know how attracted are like if I was to take a typical Asian woman, and I think Asian people are beautiful people. I think everyone's beautiful.
I agree.
You know, I'm just
I
I'm
agree.
just being like literal. If we were to take your typical Asian chick, no surgeries, nothing, boom. You take a average Asian girl, average Dominican girl, right? Or black woman or whatever, boom. And you ask an Asian guy, okay, do you prefer like if, let's say you ask 100,000 Asian guys, would you prefer this type of body or this? I'd be curious to know.
Yeah.
I know what I'm attracted to, so my mind goes to, well, I would most likely choose the body that women are going to get surgeries to emulate,
Yeah.
right? That's just like my logical, like, this is what I like. I would probably like a more curvy woman than a more like straight boarded woman. But I'm sure there are men out there who, you know, whatever, like they may like that. But if they had the option, are they choosing that or are they choosing the more curvy chicks?
Now, what do you think that's based on? Do you think that's based on like we are genetically a certain way, so when we see somebody biologically, like, oh my god,
No,
this
I
is
think this
like yo,
this is my point because hold on.
yeah,
This is my point. My point is that I believe that the powers that be, right, the rulers of the agencies, are making our biological body desire. They're making our biological body hyper sexual towards a specific look, which is on average, this is what men are attracted to. So they're making it so that women have to battle each other for these things. The average Asian girl would never have to compete with you know, whatever other African girl, right? They would have never had to be in the gym at the same time competing for the eyes
yeah,
of men, and specifically their men.
Yep.
Because every man should want a child that looks like what his mom looks like.
I agree.
You know, that's natural.
Yeah.
You know, this intermixing of people.
Yeah,
This is like 200 years. This is why when people say like, oh, back in the day, you know, the colonists, you know, like this is, especially with people who speak about like Dominican Republic and like the Caribbean and how the Caribbean, like we are from Africa, like you're assuming that Europeans came from Europe and wanted to mate with who they viewed as lower than them.
yeah.
It's like, come on, man, you don't even know enough history to like, you know what I'm saying? It's just
Yeah.
like, anyway, I'm not trying to rant about it. I'm just saying it's
No, man, I know exactly what you're saying, and it's like, you know what? People of this generation that are reproducing and doing it the right way with people that look just like them,
yeah.
and not only that, but women that look like them and women that have their mental,
Shout out to Shannon.
they're mentally and emotionally correct,
Yeah.
you know, and you have children, that's going to be an extremely high status symbol because I'm just seeing more and more damaged people, and just I'm seeing like things that are like, it's like culturally and socially, it's like, yo,
More
what
and more
are you
swirls.
doing? More and more swirls, and bro,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like when you see it, you're like,
There's nothing wrong with that.
well, look, well, what I'm
Because love is
no, no.
love. What I'm saying is,
I think I know what you're saying. It's like it's bound to happen where it's like if you have a scale of like 1,000 people, maybe like what would you say? Like maybe like 20 or 30 would do that.
yeah,
But the fact that yo, I can't watch a commercial or a movie
it's
where
shoving it down your face.
where they're swirled and where this is different and where like yo, look at all the black rappers. They all have like white girls, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, why is that?
Or look at people in politics. Yo, you got people in politics that argue against like anti-white. Yo, and they're married to white people.
Yeah.
You know?
It's again what I just, there's nothing wrong with being in love.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, why is the first, this is my first question, why is the father of the woman that you're going to bed with allowing you to sleep with his daughter.
Yep.
That's number one. Like, there should be like a process here where what value are you adding to those families? It's number one. Number two, people think that love is just love. Hello, procreation is, it's a genetic, you're taking genetic, like,
Yeah.
this is like survival of the fittest situation.
Bro, it's a serious thing.
Why would you sit there and lay in bed with somebody who has genetic issues?
You know what else I think is the wildest thing too, right? So like going back to all races of people, I truly do think that each different race, they are beautiful. Me personally, I like white or Caucasian women. That in my eyes,
white flower.
White flower.
White flower.
White flower.
White flower. Yeah.
So it's like if you were to line up, let's say you were to line up like a black chick, a Spanish chick, an Asian chick, and a white chick, and they were all like similar shapes, similar mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm gonna go with the Caucasian woman. You
No,
know what
but
I mean?
this is the argument. You have to go with the girl that you're more connected with, the this and that. And yes, you should be more connected to people who have identified with a life closest to you.
It's a similar life. You grew up in similar ideals. You think the same way, biologically the same. Your minds are, and your brains and your whole thought processes are structured the same.
Do you know one of the things I've experienced? Maybe I don't know if you have experienced this. I know I have because I'm from the Caribbean, brother, and we have the what's the word? We have the curse of having to see our women consistently pillaged by the rest of the world.
Yeah.
The rest of the world, the men from other countries come to this small little area to smash all of our girls.
Yeah.
Like, they're all open for everybody.
Treated
right?
like, you know what?
Treated like
Like
global.
like a commodity.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So when dealing with a situation like this, I see black men from America, like black Americans, or I see Europeans come and they actually get married to these girls, and I see how they interact. I'm observing. And the European has no idea how the culture is.
Agreed,
So
yeah.
he's dealing with a woman who has, to him, made him feel as though, like, oh, she really loves me and she's super great and this and that. But he's not picking up on the subtleties, on the cues that girl's actually hypersexual. She's really open with everybody.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's a
Yo, this is like this is like what I'm talking about. It's like people are trying to be progressive with this stuff, but it does not work. You always have to have morals in place. This is why like sex before marriage was like forbidden.
yes.
This is why like divorce was forbidden. This is why like, you'd save yourself and you wouldn't date, you would court. You wouldn't get introduced to a girl unless her father brought you in or you were really cool with the family. You know what I mean? But all these things have been purposely eroded and thrown away. Why? Because these things lead to strong families, which lead to strong communities, which leads to strong moral people, which are going to do the right thing. Now, if people are not complete and they are broken, like most of these people are broken nowadays, a lot easier to control.
Yeah. It's one of those things. There is no love mentioned anywhere when it comes to being a wife and being a husband. You don't love. What does that got to do with the fact that you're procreating, you have a child, you have responsibility? I mean, yes, you respect one another, but love shouldn't be I'm going to divorce because I don't love. Like, you have a child, love is out the window now.
Yeah.
Now it's about duty, responsibility, and first of all, you should not be thinking about divorce at all.
At all.
It should. First of all, you shouldn't be thinking about the girlfriend and boyfriend thing, bro. I'm not with that.
Yep.
There's something just off about, that's my girlfriend. What does that mean? It's either you guys are married or not. In my culture, my belief systems, my primary, like, what I read the most, and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to take a concept of marriage, it's going to come from where it came from, which is the Bible. All right. And in that concept, marriage is sex.
Yeah.
So if you have sex with a woman, for me, you're married. if we're married, then you're my all the responsibilities that come along with that. However, all these girls are married to other men. This is how I see it.
Dude, they're married to other men
And
10 times over.
Yes. No, whoa, wait. They lost their virginity one time.
Yep.
So they're married to that one guy, and they're fornicating with every other guy that they're with.
Okay, yeah.
So they're adulterous.
That's the that's the
They're
proper
all committing
terminology.
adultery.
Yeah.
These people are they're like, oh, if I don't have a certificate because I gotta go to the county courthouse to register. It's like, lady, like you're so society. I'm gonna be more specific. The government has lowered you down to your pubic self, to your public self. You're at the lowest you could ever be in your thought process because you're not thinking about the lack of knowledge that you're in. You're in a lack of, your state of being is a state of lacking knowledge. And this is the reality for most people. They don't see it that way. And they get emotional about it. It's not about being emotional. I am not a rocket scientist. You give me all the tools to make a rocket ship. I'm not going to get emotional about the fact that I cannot build you a rocket without having instructions.
Yeah.
Or give me a few lifetimes to learn, math and this and this and that so that I can put that rocket in the sky. I lack the knowledge to do that. It's okay to be in that state. I'm also a victim of, I don't know how to build my own rockets. How come Elon Musk is the only one who knows how to figure it out? Like, I'm not in a victim mind state. I'm not in a, I know I don't know everything. That's a wise thing to say.
Yeah.
People are in a lack of knowledge situation when it comes to marriage and relationships. You don't know.
Yep.
You're thinking about love because you've been
now,
given fantasies. Disney.
But this is the thing with women. Once women do something, they will rationalize it afterwards.
Yes, they'll find reasons.
That's why when you bring up like body count, or you bring up about like this like marriage, or you're married to the first guy you had sex with, they're gonna come up with 1,000 delusional reasons why that's not true, or why there's something wrong with you, or anything to support, anything
to justify,
to keep them from justifying that. It's just like the fact where, okay, like let's say for example, now here's an extreme example. Let's say like if you were like locked in a room for like 20 years or whatever, and I'm like, yo, bro, all you have to do is like, you got to pick up that golden calf and the key's right there and you can get out. And you're like, no, man, my religion says I shouldn't touch the golden calf. That's like, eventually the golden calf will let me out by myself. And I'm like, all right, bro, that's it. And just the fact that I told you that the key was there, and then one day just come and unlock the door, yo, you will never be able to in your mind say, damn, I could have just gotten that key and just opened that door, because you spent 20 years in there, and that's way too painful to realize that you wasted that much time when you could have just opened the door yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'll give you an example. I lost $220K. Like,
damn.
Yeah, I basically invested funds into something that I believed it with all my heart. I thought, I'm going to put this funds into these businesses. This is going to work.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, I'm going all in into my vision, to my belief. I had a choice to make at some point, and it was, I can continue to try to keep this up and continue to invest funds into this vision, or I can just take the L and just take a L. I took a L. So what did I do? What was the wisest thing to do? I took the L. At some point, I had to just call it quits. Oh, man, this was an L. It was a very expensive L, but I had to take an L so that I can improve myself. I took the learned lessons, and I improved it and move forward.
And I'll add,
women are not trying to do that.
Yeah.
Men are not trying to do that. They're trying to stay stuck. It's like, guys, relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, it does not work. All this red pill, they're trying to teach you this, that all that stuff is over and done with. That was 2023, 2022,
and you know what's wild? Like
2021, get over it.
Speaking on all this stuff, right? Okay, so like just the fact of like, I'll talk about like the mystery method and this and that, which is pretty much like the way a successful man would go about psychologically communicating with a woman to the point with which they're eventually in like a relationship. If this is just like the analysis of it, which breaks it down exactly how you would be doing it naturally if you were that caliber of guy, I don't necessarily think that that would be needed if the girl that you were meeting, if you were the first guy that she was meeting.
Well, this is the thing. You shouldn't be meeting her. You should be having a conversation with her dad because
Facts.
you're learning about her through him.
Yep.
You understand?
Yep.
And it's the manly, like we should be amongst men at all times.
Yeah.
And then your family is your safe place. That's where you let your guard down and you can relax and be at peace. However, now it's like, oh, you think you're going to go, it's like we're going out into the world and we're thinking that we are choosing the woman, which we're choosing the women for marriage, but the women are choosing us for sex.
Yep.
Why are they even having the right to choose all that?
I know.
It should be their dad who's, and people will literally sit there and talk about, oh, women rights and this and that. They could do whatever they want. Yo, matter of fact, I benefit from women rights. I love vagina.
Yeah.
Give me all the
Who
vagina in the
doesn't?
world. Give it all to me. Let me choose. This is where I'm at.
Damn, bro,
I'm
share
choosing-
some, man.
I'm choosing
You,
it.
you taking
Nah,
it all, bro?
Give me every.
Nah, man, bring some over here.
All right, you can have one or two.
Man, I'm taking one or two.
All right, so listen. We all are benefiting from women choosing,
Yeah.
right? So, hey, by all means, choose. But to fathers, you don't want your daughter to be getting ran through. No man who loves his daughter wants that. So how is it that every daughter has a father? How are all these girls getting ran through?
Yo, I think because the fathers are they're too soft, they're overworked, they have combative women who were exactly the way that their daughter's going to be, and their father didn't choose the right wife correctly, and that's why the cycle is going to complete itself.
They have no, what's it called? Shame. They're not. Women are not shamed.
Yeah, it's not shamed anymore.
You're not shamed to
Yeah.
be whatever you want to be.
Yo, you know what's wild, man?
Be
So
whatever.
I've listened to like older guys saying like, you know, back in the 80s or 90s, if you went to go hang out with a girl
Yeah.
and she flaked on you, that would be like a big thing socially.
It's a
Like,
disrespect.
It's a disrespect. It would be like, yo, you flaked on this dude, and like everybody would know that she's in dishonor. for
Remember
that.
the question that I asked you? About time? Respecting your time. As men, we must. Let me tell you, Masons are all about time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, when you even jot down the court, if you look at the heavens, the only justification is to tell time. You are here for an amount of time. And women who waste your time are I'm just not going to say women, but anyone who wastes your time, just as soon as you think that, pick up a mirror and just look and say, I just wasted my life. Like you personally are at fault for wasting your life dealing with other people who are not adding value to your life,
Yep.
helping you in any. It's like you're
Well,
to blame for.
And you know, I'm gonna add this to that too. At some point, you know, like, you know, because like, you know, you're saying like you wanted to go over like, you know, the mystery method too. Well,
Yeah.
in there, you know, you have the 3 phases: attraction, comfort, and seduction. Of course, you're gonna attract the woman first, and then after that phase, you're gonna get more comfortable with it. This is just the natural process. But when you analyze it, this is what it looks like. So it seems like, oh, it's like, oh, you know, like, oh, you got a robotic program for this.
Yeah.
No, it's just when
It's
you
the
analyze
analysis,
when
yeah.
you analyze the psychology, this is what you can group it into.
Yeah.
Now, there's some women where you don't want to go into comfort with them because they're just going to cause too much problems, or you're going to be stressing over this one, or, you know, she may not agree with like your lifestyle. With
She's
this and
gonna
that.
dress a certain kind of way.
She's going to dress a certain kind of
She's
way.
gonna go to the club.
So at the same
that.
time, you got to make sure you got the right woman before you're even doing this.
The Bible says you have to get a wife already comes made before she's married. You have to get a woman that's already in the mind state living the life of a wife.
Yeah.
You can't expect to get a girl who's at a strip club. No disrespect to women who are working. You know, whatever, you know, I understand life. This is a difficult life. With all due respect, your circumstances are, you know, yours. You know, all due respect. you don't go to those women to try to find a wife when there are women who are qualified. It's like women don't look at the guy who unfortunately is, 4'3", small person. They're not looking at him and saying, "Oh, that's the guy like I want." Like, no disrespect. There's some women that are, of course, not necessarily the, they're looking at like LeBron James kind of guys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather that man than that guy. So it's the same thing on the flip side. It's like, you want a woman that's going to be a good mother, good reflection of who you are, a good person who's not jaded, someone who's not torn, used, abused, slapped, spit on, all these kind of things. Like, it's common sense, man, but I don't know, man. I don't want to butcher the conversation, man. I don't want to butcher it.
Well, man, I like to say this, that even though there is so much chaos and so much immoral activity out there, there are still good women out there, and there are especially good men out there.
I'm not saying that, and this is another thing. I'm not saying for you guys to, not get girls and
it's
do
like,
you. I'm just saying, if you're looking for a wife, perhaps try skipping the girlfriend phase, because you're gonna the girl who believes in girlfriend, boyfriend, she's getting ran through by a bunch of dudes because they're getting a bunch of boyfriends.
And don't forget, if you take a wife that thinks that that's okay for herself to do, guess what? Your daughter's gonna turn out the same way.
And let me just say this also, as men, if you guys are out here just running through girls and you're playing with their emotions, you're a narcissist.
Yep.
You're evil. You're an evil person. You're damaging women. If your intention is to smash and leave, find you a girl who's trying to do that, but leave the good women alone. Because one, a good woman is going to recognize trash like you. It's number one. Number two, you don't want to be messing around with women's emotions. That's bad karma. You don't want to mess with that.
Yep.
Just leave them for the people who are ready. Like, go deal with the low lives and the rats.
Yeah, realistically speaking, like, the only reason why you should be getting into a relationship with someone, if you're generally vibing with them and you can generally see like a future with them, like, you're looking at the woman, you say, like this is somebody I could see myself taking care of. Like, this is a beautiful creature. Like, I mean, if you just do, like, that's why you can't always think it with sex, but they throw sex at you to try and get you in that lower state.
That feminine woman, nurtures your heart. As a man, your heart needs to be cold.
Yeah.
You need to be stern focused.
Yeah.
You need to be a man.
Yeah.
So what a feminine woman does is balances you out.
Yep.
So you have to get your balance for your sake.
Yep.
Because as a man, you want to have a certain energy. You need that balance. You don't want an energy has a whole bunch of other people's energy in it. You want look at it this way.
Dude, it's so wild because when I don't know if it's just me, but I know it's a lot of other dudes too that can attest to this. Probably you can too. A lot of these women are inherently masculine when you go to talk to them.
It's all the men that have been inside of them.
Yeah.
You're speaking to a conglomeracy of men.
Yeah.
That are just in their body.
Yep.
Just regurgitating things that they've heard.
Yeah.
Listening, brother.
It's not just getting physically ran through; they're getting mentally ran through too.
Listen, they're online listening to girls teaching them how to date men who have money for money because this, that. It's like they're being programmed and brainwashed to only date dudes with wealth. Hey, man, I'm all for it. Do your thing. I'm not affected by that. But just remember, I'm not gonna wife you because people who have status, money.
Yeah.
They're not dumb.
Yo, facts. I was gonna say that.
That's the thing. Like, we're not dumb. You think that these guys are just like, not every dude's a simp. Not It's like you think that life is gonna just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna find this perfect guy. That perfect guy.
You know what it is? It's like
I'm the perfect guy.
Like
and I'm not gonna deal with you.
Yo, authenticity can always be sensed by women and men. And like, yeah, some of these women, they may be able to fool these simps, but a man that's got his shit together and is really about it, he's going to be able to tell right
brother,
away.
it's no dude with any comments like, okay, if you care about your legacy, why would you go, for example, and move to Ukraine right now?
Yeah.
Right? You want to have a, you want to grow an empire. Why are you're trying to grow an empire? You're going to go to the least likely place where you're going to have a positive outcome for your vision. Okay? As men, your vision should be you want to have a successful life, business life. You want to add value to the world, and you want to have a good woman, and you want to have a good family values, morals. You want to have healthy children. You want to be healthy in general.
Yeah.
So why would you choose a woman with a track record of 99% losses on relationships?
Yeah, you know what I think, man? Because I think men are so hungry to get laid. Like they're so focused on it. Like that sex is like
That's
the
all-
end all be all.
Go on
But, yo,
Instagram, and this is all you see.
But yo, what you guys out there gotta realize is, there are other things out there in the world that are better than sex. Like literally, like, the feeling of like, somebody that generally loves you, somebody that generally always has your back. You know what I mean? That's a feeling that you can. That's something that you can't buy. That's something you can't get from no hooker, from nothing. Like there are such greater feelings that the feeling of accomplishing something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Bro, the feeling of building something.
The feeling of love I don't know. It's beyond sex. The physical love, like when you love someone, you are beyond sex. It's beyond that. It's beyond the conversations are so mundane. Like, what do I bring to the table? I am the table.
Yo, bro, I'll put it.
All I want is
this.
sex from you. That's about it.
Yo, I'll put it just like this. If it's like you're about to smash the baddest chick, would you rather have that, or would you rather spend like a half an hour with maybe a grandparent that passed away?
Oh, dude, I'll take my grandma all day.
Automatically, anybody who's right in the mind will say like somebody that passed away.
Yeah, I would rather never have sex again in my life.
Yeah.
And speak to my mom for 5 more minutes. 5 minutes, bro. And I will like never again touch another. I'd rather speak to my mom for those 5 minutes. Just so, and have a conversation that I've had with her thousands of times too. It's not like I'm gonna have a brand new conversation with my mom. No.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna spend those 5 minutes doing is hugging her, telling her I love her over and over for 5 minutes straight. I'm gonna just tell my mom I love her.
Yo, it's so true because so I've had like, I tend to have some vivid dreams, man. And I remember I've had a few dreams with like either like my grandmother or my grandfather. And I remember I had one dream with my grandmother, right, where I'm going back downstairs to her apartment, and I walk in there, and I think that she's passed away, and she's there. I'm like, whoa. I was like, Daniel. I was like, what are you doing here? I was like, I thought you passed away like years ago, And that's exactly what I would say, like if I went home and she was just there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whoa, what are you doing here? Yeah. And it's like,
you rather that than have.
Yeah. And it's like, you get so drawn that's why I say, like, once you get rid of all these carnal desires, it's okay for example, like wanted to just go out there and just like smash every bad chick you see. How about you let go of that for a while? You find a good wife who's never smashed before, and then you smash her, and it's righteous, and it is literally better than any sex you'll ever have.
Well, I think men on we're hypersexualized. Women are hypersexualized. They are tossed out into the world of wolves, no protection.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things wrong. Like, school. You have men and women studying together. All these things, they're not ideal for the best outcomes in society. So we have to we have to really reevaluate society in general, and a lot of things that may sound controversial or may sound extreme to some. I think it's extreme to be in the situation that we're in now, where people are living stacked on top of each other like pancakes.
Yeah.
And we're look, we got, you know, crazy views. You know, we're literally the 1%.
Yeah.
If you think about it. So I'm not tripping off of it. But what I'm saying is, well, this is a great view, but you know what's another good view? Seeing 100 acres of land and being safe and being at peace, not being next to like not having access to everybody's daughters. That's great.
Yeah.
Like, you know, knowing that nobody has access to my daughters, like that's a much more better feeling.
And
I'm sure.
And the cool thing is, it's like, I know like a lot of this stuff seems like, oh, it's no hope, it's no use, oh, that's just the way it's going to be. No, like you realize it, you come to the realization like you want better for your lineage, and then you make a difference.
Yes.
Because once you realize it, then you can do better.
I saw a meme yesterday. Brother, this meme hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yo, a ton of bricks?
A ton.
Not a
of,
half ton, a full ton.
Full ton of bricks, like boom.
Damn, that's some tonnage.
Bro, it said something. It was like you had two pictures. You had a picture of like, I don't know if it was Gaza or something. It was just a picture of something, like of society or something. And then the other picture that was like on the other side of, like, it was split in two, right? The other picture was a picture of like an African hut. You know what I'm saying? And what it said was, it said like, no, it was a picture of something in the past, like a Rome or something, right? And it was like Rome 400 years ago. And then it said Africa today. And when you think about it, it's basically what the meme is saying is like, you know, civilization, like Europeans have done so much in civilization to the point where there's, you know, space, you know, aircrafts and all this, you know, airplanes and all that, right? And then you have like that African thing where it's like they're still in huts. You know, we are still in huts. Like black people still haven't developed anything. And I mean, how true is this? Like, where's the black cell phone company? Where is the we could go down the list, and it's not that we can't do it. And I'm sure that there are some out there, and I'm sure that there are some great inventors, and they're great businessmen and great blah blah blah. But the point of the meme was, you know, 200 years ago, dudes were forging steel and doing this, that, and the third, and here we are today in Africa, because it was specifically about Africa, this meme. And in Africa, still 200 years later, you know, mud huts. It's like, huh? What's going on here? There's something not right. Oh, that's what it was. It was a cathedral. It was a picture of a cathedral that was like 500 years ago. And then it had like the picture of the mud hut in Africa today. That was the meme. I got to find that meme, man. But that made me, it took me on I was like, whoa. Yeah, that's true. We gotta do better. We have to start coming together. Men came together to build that cathedral, which is that's the thing.
Yeah.
We have to come together. If we don't come together so that we can share knowledge and do the best.
You know what it is, man? It's once, sometimes it takes like I forget where I heard this from, but a lot of times it takes a massive pattern interrupt to really change something. So it's like somebody that's a hardcore drug addict, they may never change unless they have like a near-death experience.
Or ayahuasca.
Or ayahuasca, a near-life experience.
Yeah.
You know? So if they don't have, like, if that doesn't happen, they're going to be on the same path. So, you know, it's like when you see things get so difficult, you look around and you're just like, I don't want this, man. I don't want this for my people, you know? And that's when you decide you're going to do better.
You got to make a change.
You have to make a choice, bro. It's like with everything. It's like even, bro, it's like even like with food. That's what, I don't know. Me personally, like, I don't know necessarily what drew me to it, but I know like when you really feel passion and hear about something, you're like, oh, that's interesting. And you just delve into it and you're getting more and more excited. And like a lot of these things tend to have to do with stuff because, you know, it's like I'm good at fixing stuff and everything. So it's like when I start seeing these things, I'm like, oh, how you know, how can we fix this? And the thing is, you got to be better and you got to choose better when it comes terms to, you know, making a family, because that really is a sacred thing. That's your lineage. You know what I mean? And I guarantee you, these men that have their daughters being ran through, they know it's happening, and the people around them know it's happening. And I cannot imagine a terribly defeated feeling that is as a man.
I can't even, you know, I have 9 sisters.
Oh, dude, I never knew you had 9 sisters.
Oh yeah, I have 9 brothers and 9 sisters.
Wow.
And I am thankful to not have one of the, you know, my father did not play that. You know what I'm saying? All my
Yeah.
sisters are excellent women. Excellent, all of them.
Yo,
Excellent, all of them.
yo, if I could say one thing, you know what I always respected so much, bro? Remember Mimi?
Oh my God, I love Mimi.
Bro,
I love Mimi.
perfect, you know something, man? Perfect example of how, like,
Married with children now.
married with children, saved herself till marriage, bro.
Dude, what a catch was Mimi.
Yeah.
The man who married Mimi is one of the luckiest men on the planet.
Yep.
Got a woman who's, this was like my little, this,
Mm-hmm.
Mimi's like my little sister.
Yeah.
I seen this girl protect this girl.
Yep.
Seen her growing up, literally. I remember Mimi thought she was dumb. Like, I remember she thought she wasn't really smart
Yeah.
until she started reading. She would just dive into books.
I remember, bro. She was always like really, really well spoken.
And her speech started to change.
Yeah.
Her intellect, she became
And
vibrant.
you know what this goes back to?
Incredible.
Remember at the beginning when we were talking about how you I forget what you asked me, but I said something like, well, you know, depending on the way someone is raised, like, you know, you could be somebody and you say something nice to somebody and it changes their entire course.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, that is something where it's like, that is a prime example of like something to hold on to. Like, she's did that and she's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So there are other women out there too.
Oh man,
You know?
and you know what? My best friend's mom, she's an incredible woman, and she taught her son and her, you know, first of all, their father was in their life. They may like, you know, they may have not been together. They gotten divorced, but it was respectful,
Yeah.
and there was never no disrespecting of the family.
You know how you could
It's incredible.
You know something else that's wild too, man? You could always tell too, because just the way Drew was,
Mhm.
you can tell his mother and father were good parents.
Yes,
Because Drew was always very well spoken. He was always very respectful. He was never vindictive.
and guess what?
He was always cool, bro.
Guess what? He's married with children.
Yep.
Good parents is the key.
Yeah.
You know, you can have you have good parents, man. Good things happen to you. That's just one of those things.
And you know, it's like, it could go both ways. You could be somebody that grew up with bad parents and turn out to be a bad parent yourself, or you can recognize it and say, I don't want to be like that.
And be
You
a
know, it's
better
like it's
parent.
like that story in psychology where it's like the twins grow up, their father was an abusive alcoholic. One of them grows up to be an alcoholic. The other one grows up to be a successful
Mhm.
doctor with a loving family. And when they ask both the guys, like, why did you turn out the way they did? They say, well, what other choice did I have? Look at the father that I had.
It's the perspective.
It's a perspective.
You gotta individually want to be more for yourself.
Yep. And bro, I firmly believe, like, and this is for everybody out there too. When you put yourself in a certain mindset and you have a certain set of morals and values, that changes the energy and your frequency about you. And you're gonna run into people like this. It's very similar to like the guy he's always looking for a fight, always wants to fight somebody. He's gonna run into that a lot. It's also very familiar with the dude that's just chilling. He's cool with everybody. He's gonna be cool with everybody.
Mhm.
So whatever vibe you're putting out there is the vibe you're gonna get. This goes with the women too, because I will tell you what, bro, women, and you women know this. You could be stubborn as hell. If you want to save yourself, ain't nobody going to change your mind until you're married. You know what I mean? Bro, that's just how women are, man.
They control. This is why I don't hold back, because I believe women are intelligent.
Yeah.
I know that they're
Dude,
intelligent.
women are super intelligent.
They are very
Yeah.
intelligent. So I'm not gonna treat them like they don't realize what they're doing. They
Yeah.
know. They choose, just like a man chooses to, do drugs and drink. Just like people are making these choices. Women are making choices to dress a certain way and
Yep.
look and act a certain way. It's like, choose better for yourself. Men, choose better for yourself. Be better versions of yourself. This is what I would say. Become the man that you think you are.
Yep.
do that now though. Become that man right now. Like, don't you think you're Jesus? Well, be Jesus right now.
Yep.
You think you're, the billionaire? Be that billionaire right now. Act that way, behave that way, conduct yourself in that way. Doesn't matter if you come from, the hood, you have the right to change. That's your right. No one is going to stop you from doing that. You can just the same way you bought Nikes, you can buy a pair of dress shoes.
Bro, it's like I'll say, yo, guys, you can be whoever you want to be. Why? Because you choose to be that. Whatever you want to be, you can be. Just choose to do it. And do it.
Be white flour.
You want.
Be white flour.
Can't stop you from doing that.
Hey.
You want to be a baker with all the white flour? Bake all the stuff with all your white flour.
That's it.
No dark flour, though.
Don't put make sure you don't mix the dark flour with some little brown chocolates in there.
Is there any brown sugar in here? You get the hell out of my bakery now.
Yeah, man. It's one of those things where people really do have to get on it. Men specifically, bro. I'm seeing a lot of single struggling men that is getting whack.
Yep.
And I don't blame them. I don't blame men for. It's just women are on some other different. They're on a different thing.
And
like,
bro,
I can't imagine. My dad didn't go to. Yo, my dad. I can't even say my dad, because my dad, he moved a certain way. But like in my family, not every man in my family like was well off, had his own company or whatever. Like, some of these guys was literally broke. And they still were able to have a wife and have a loving family and have dignity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's weird, man. Different times is hard, and I don't take that away from the men that are trying. Like, keep fighting. At some point you gotta.
They could definitely do
fight. Don't fight for what you think. Fight for you. Like, the world may not. They don't have enough knowledge to realize, like, sometimes you want to think that people think the way you think, and in actuality they think completely different. So sometimes you just got to focus on you. Just focus on you. Men have to focus on themselves, and
they got to discipline themselves. They got to get out of their lower self.
Yeah, get out of your lower
It's so important, because once you get out of your lower self and you get into your higher self and you're really operating on a higher level of existence, all that lower self bullshit that you wanted, you're going to get that, but you're going to get it in a righteous way.
Yeah. And also help other people.
Gotta help other people.
Helping people brings a sense of joy.
And not only that, it is like the highest karmatic cleanser.
Today, look, I'm gonna tell you something that I did today. Today, I had to pay one of my employees, right? And I gave them more funds than I should have given them, like, for their hours. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'm like, never have I given them money and they say, oh, you short. Like, never have I said, oh, here's you paid me like $100 more here. Mm-hmm. No, it's always like, if I short them, they always let me know I shorted them.
Yeah.
But if I give them more, they never like say anything. You know what I'm saying? It's not like,
so you're saying, like,
they don't complain about it. It's not that they won't mention it. Like, oh, yeah. It's, and they just never complain about it. It's like, you always give me more. You know what I'm saying? It's not that.
I'm sick of having so much damn wealth. Take some of this back.
Yeah, it's never that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's how, in my mind, this is like, I say that because it's like, there's never going to be a time in your life where you're going to say, oh, this is too much happiness. I got to get away from here. Like, you're not really going to enact on that thought.
Yeah.
You're always going to be okay with receiving that positive, whatever it is that you want. So go for what you want. And when you receive it, stay there. If you feel like you going to the gym is going to be what's going to make you happy, don't get away from that. Go to that.
Yeah.
Stay there. You know what I'm saying? Do what makes you happy. Yep. Don't focus on you going to a bar and getting rejected day in, day out, day out, every day. Like, you making $500 a week, and then out of that 500, you're budgeting yourself. You're like, I'm going to take 100 every 2 weeks to go to the club, and I'm going to spend at least $100 so I could hopefully be around some girls so I could maybe hit and you do that for a year, and you see that you went out, I don't know, you went out 30 times, and out of those 30 times, you maybe got one girl. Do the math. It's not worth it.
Yep.
Don't do it, because you're going to come home sadder on average than if you just went to the gym and got
man.
happy every single time you went.
They got to work on something bigger, and the way to know what you're drawn to is if whatever you're drawn to, like if you're reading something and a certain character just happens to draw your interest or your attention,
yeah,
what's in that character is in you, right? Because if I'm speaking of something and you're inspired by it, I can only speak on what is already inside of you for you to recognize it.
That's philosophical, man.
Philosophical.
You're getting wise with it.
Been wise with it.
Yo.
A lot of people can't handle stuff like that. A lot of times it's just like they just can't handle that. They just want to,
she said.
Yeah, they just can't handle it.
Word. But
Oh,
yeah,
man.
man, this has been good. We've gone on for 2.5 hours at this point.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty legit. We got a lot of content there. Let's do this again sometime, bro.
Definitely.
I appreciate you being here, always dropping knowledge.
Thanks for having me, man.
Being wise. This is literally how again, this is different than if I were to interview someone. Like when I interview people, it's so different. I'm getting to know them. I already know you.
Yeah.
So this is our literal conversations. Like when we're on the phone talking, this is what we sound like.
Literally, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's funny. But again, I appreciate you. I thank you for coming here and showing love and helping me with the channel. And I'll multiply the love you give. I'll multiply that tenfold as I've always have, man. I appreciate you.
Yep. Appreciate you
So,
too, bro. Always, dude.
Yeah, word. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. And there's probably nobody at this point. Just freaking, we not fresh or fit. But I appreciate, for those who get to this point watching.
And it's wild because this moment right now, this is going to be out there. And even 10 years from now, this moment still exists now, but it's going to be out there. How wild is that concept?
That's facts. Someone's going to watch it and they're going to be in the now.
As I'm speaking on this now.
Really?
So as I'm speaking on this now, you're probably watching this. I don't know how far out, but your now there is my now and our now right here.
Right
We're literally
now.
intersecting paths. Yeah, I'm talking to you. We're intersecting paths right now. That's crazy.
That's physics.
Yep. Physics.
Quantum physics.
Quantum physics.
What's the new physics that's going to be? That's nano quantum. You don't know about that.
Nano quantum physicals.
Try physics out AI phosphates.
Spectacle Varnums.
Barnacles physics.
Yo, I don't know how much deeper he get with physics.
Barnacle physics is deep.
It would just go back
That's
to...
like the cellular physics. Do you know about cellular physics, bro?
Man, I know about cellular physics.
That's a new term. I'm coining that. Cellular physics. You ain't never... Cellular quantum
physics.
hydraulic physics.
Yo, hydraulics? Barnables.
Hold on.
A barnable is a unit of measurement in cellular physics.
Bro, AI is going to pick that up and it's going to create that in AI language, which is the language of barnacle physics.
Yep.
See what I'm saying? It's like we're in the future with it. We're in the now.
We're in the now. However, our now is still in the future.
I'm right now, right here, right now.
Yep. I still exist right now.
I'm on there. I'm not even on the screen no more because we're not on the screen. We're telepathically now.
Yo, I've always found it.
I'm in your mind.
I know we're trying to close this out, but I got to bring this up. I always found it fascinating that like how we only have moments and those moments shared with people in that moment are locked in time forever.
Yeah.
You cannot take that away.
No, because they happened. They're in the now.
They happened.
Right now.
Yep. Right now.
All right. We out of here.
We're out of here.
Peace.
Peace.